youth band presents a big round of applause. A traditional feature of County Final Day is honouring the county senior football champions of 25 years ago. Today we salute the great St. Joseph of Ballyshannon Bundor. A quarter of a century ago, these stalwarts defeated Ross's Rovers in the county final by 116 to 4 points. To introduce the team, which will parade and form up in front of the public address box, will be Mr. Charlie Collins, sports presenter of Highland Radio.
Whoever called me Mister?
On behalf
the bank manager.
County Board, I wish to express our sincere thanks to Highland Radio for their generous sponsorship for today's final. Over to you, Charlie Collins.
Thank you very much, Seamus, and you're very welcome again this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to what Seamus rightly said has become a traditional feature of County Championship Day, the presentation of a team of 25 years ago. Last year we had two great teams here, of course, St. Joseph's and St. Eunan's, and I suppose it is reflected today in the fact that this St. Joseph's team were so dominant around that period that in 1970 they were the champions with a very comprehensive victory over Ross's Rovers in the county final that year, having beaten St. Eunan's in the semi-final in a very exciting match that year in 1970. St. Eunan's being the reigning champions. We're delighted to say that we're joined by many of that team. Several of them are not able to make it here today, but they are represented by members of their family, and we're delighted to say that they're led today. In fact, they were captained that year by Seamie Granahan, who's represented by his nephew David Smith here today, who we'll introduce a little while later on. But the vice captain that day, the man who played full forward, and I'm delighted to introduce the vice captain of the St. Joseph's County Champions in 1970 to lead them out today, Peter Quinn. Give Peter a nice round of applause. Stalwart with St. Joseph's during those great years. In goals for St. Joseph's, and a man who of course played in goals for them in many of their championship winning teams and was a great servant to the St. Joseph's team during that period, also played inter-county football. Goalkeeper was Alan Kane. Right corner back, another man who served St. Joseph's very, very well and was a great club player for them during those years, was Josie Boyle. Give Josie a nice round of applause. Great footballer. At full-back, a man who needs no introduction, a man who served them very well, played inter-county football as well, a tremendous footballer, a hard man to get round in those days. At full-back for the St. Joseph's team in 1970 was Ray Sheeran. Big Ray Sheeran, and the full-back line was made up by Father Liam McDade. Give Father Liam a nice round of applause. Left corner back in 1970. At right half back, one of the most consistent club players during that particular period, and indeed over many, many years, a man who also played inter-county football, could play in defence or in the forward line. Thomas Quinn was at right half back in 1970. At centre half back, I said it last year, I'll say it again, needs no introduction to a football crowd here in Ballybofey, or indeed I suppose anywhere around the world. An all-star on his day, inter-county star, player, manager, and the man who led Donegal in 1992 to success, of course, at All-Ireland level, fulfilling a lifetime ambition. But in 1970 he was at centre half back, Brian McAniff. The great Brian McAniff. And making up the half-back line on that particular day, another very consistent footballer for St. Joseph's in that period, wearing number 7 in 1970, was Hughie McGowan. Looking fit and fresh today even. Midfield, Peter Barry wore number 8 on that particular day, and we're delighted to welcome Peter Barry, another consistent footballer for St Joseph's during their great championship winning days. Welcome, Peter. His midfield partner on that day was the late Brendan McHugh, and we're delighted to say that Brendan is represented here today by his youngest son, Brian. Brian McHugh representing his father, Brendan. Welcome, Brian. The half-forward line, at right half-forward and team captain in 1970, another man who served St Joseph's very, very well for many years, and of course Donegal as well, one of the best forwards that the county have produced during any period of football. Shimmy Granahan, who is represented by his nephew David Smith today. You're welcome, David. Thank you for representing Shimmy. Centre half forward on that particular day, I think I introduced him as a full forward, or was it full back, last year when St Joseph's were honoured, but he was centre half forward on that particular day. Another one of Donegal's great footballers who played great county football for many years. Please welcome Pádraig McShay. Rumour has it that Pádraig didn't finish the match that particular day. Slight disagreement with the referee, Pádraig? Can you confirm that for us, Pádraig? He's not going to confirm it. I'm sure you were right and he was wrong, Pádraig. Pádraig McShay. And making up the half-forward line, indeed a very impressive half-forward line of Shimmy Granahan, Pádraig McShay, was Martin Kearney. Now, unfortunately, Martin cannot be with us today. He's otherwise engaged as manager of the Mayo under-21 football team who play in the replay of the All-Ireland final. But please show your appreciation for Martin Kearney. In the full forward line was Billy Gavigan at right corner forward. Billy is represented today by his son. Is Billy here himself? Oh, he's here. I'm sorry, Billy. You got that young look and I thought you sent your son instead. Billy Gavigan played at right corner forward. Well, you can't blame me for mistaking him for his son, looking fit and fresh. Peter Quinn was full forward, of course, and vice-captain, and we've already introduced Peter. And making up the full forward line again, one of Donegal's great corner forwards, great forwards indeed, and a man who played for many years for the county as well as for St Joseph's, one of the top scorers in his day, the great Mickey McAloon. So that makes up the starting 15. Please show your appreciation for the starting 15 in 1970. The St Joseph's team which beat Ross's Rovers. But we're delighted to say that a number of members of the squad are still with us and here today as well. Among the substitutes that day, first of all, Joe O'Neill, great servant of St Joseph's. Welcome, Joe. Jerry McDermott was also a substitute on that particular day in 1970. Show your appreciation for Jerry, please. And another Jerry was among the substitutes, Jerry Gallagher. Among the substitutes also was Philip McAloon, who is represented by his nephew Phil today. Phil McAloon representing his uncle Philip. Also among the substitutes, showing the strength of St Joseph's football at that particular time, the great Declan O'Carroll, who played inter-county football, represented today by his son Brian. Brian O'Carroll. Also among the substitutes, and I'm sure making a good noise from the substitutes bench, as he does from the sideline here at McCumhaill Park, PJ Ferguson. I'm glad that A-Roo is not in the final today. Our heads won't be too sore up here in the press box. Owen Rowe O'Neill was also among the substitutes in 1970, and we're delighted to welcome Owen Rowe today. And the referee back in 1970, a man who refereed many great finals here at McCumhaill Park, county finals, from Tyrone, and I'm sure he'll be in Crow Park next Sunday. Show your appreciation for the one and only Patsy Devlin. So there you have them, ladies and gentlemen. 25 years ago today, they were the county champions. A very impressive victory over Ross's Rovers. the Great St. Joseph side of 1970. Please show your appreciation as they're led off the pitch. Thank you very much. Peter Quinn, Alan Kane, Josie Boyle, Ray Sheeran, Father Liam McDade, Thomas Quinn, Brian McNiff, Hugh McGowan, Peter Barry, Brian McHugh representing his father, Brendan, Shimmy Granahan represented by David Smith, Porrick McShay, Martin Carney, Billy Gavigan, Mickey McAloon, Joe O'Neill, Jerry McDermott, Jerry Gallagher, Philip McAloon represented by his nephew Phil, Declan O'Carroll represented by his son Brian, PJ Ferguson, Owen Rowe O'Neill, and the referee in 1970, Patsy Devlin. Thank you very much. Hey? Supper tonight.
Well, hey, we'll know to take a flask with us the next day. Yes, Columba. Yeah, Columba looks sharp.
today of the many players and supporters at home and corner field who have been with us for this final. And those who for one reason or another could not make the big occasion. We extend felicitations and greetings to the opening hospital or who are ill. We wish a speedy recovery. I would like to especially mention the president of the Four Masters Club in Donegal Town, John Joe O'Farrell, who is in hospital at the moment. This is the fourth county final he has missed for over 40 years. All the games here assembled wish him a very speedy recovery.
Thanks very much. Welcome back to McCumhaill Park. Young Kevin Wunson, 2 goals and 9 points out of a total of 2 goals and 12. So easy to see why we were saying he was the difference in the two sides. That's a great return, Michael.
It is. You know, if we were playing another code, you'd probably be talking about 20 million for a return like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But, well, there was one or two situations in the second half there, really. There was one decision by referee Liam Brown that's causing a lot of discussion among both teams, in fact, when he awarded a square ball situation in favour of St Eunan's. At the time, it looked to me as if it was a strange decision, to say the least, really, because the ball was in the air for a long time. I think you made that point. And to me, it didn't look as if the Ardran man was anywhere near the square.
No, and it was a decision that had a vital bearing on the game, because it was after that St Eunan's came through to get that goal there. Certainly, talking to some of the other people, they felt hard done by that decision, but then again, a referee has a split second in which to make up his mind there on these things. It's all right when you have time to sit down and analyse it.
Okay, well, we're on to the senior final, and it's the battle of the southwest of Donegal again. The south of Donegal have dominated things, of course, as regards county finals over recent years. Ballyshannon, the winners last year, beating Naomh Columba in the final. Naomh Columba are back again, and this year they're playing KILLYBEGS. Now, KILLYBEGS beat Cloughaneely over 2 legs, Michael, and you saw them in action. I mean,
what do you mean by in action?
In action, they weren't overly impressive in the first round this year. Indeed, people would say they haven't been overly impressive in the championship to date so far, and much the same could be said about Naomh Columba.
They have, but somewhere I was sneaky feeling at the back of my mind, looking even at the teams out there in Naomh Columba, there seems to be an urgency and air about them. They're the type of team that can raise their game when the occasion demands, and I have a feeling that this is just the occasion for that particular thing. A lot of people would say they looked very poor in the semi-final. A lot of people would say KILLYBEGS, but I mean, when you look at these two teams out here, you're looking at everybody who is anybody in Gaelic football in Donegal today. Both teams are star-studded teams. We have a lot of the heroes that brought so much glory to the county. They're all out here today. And like as happened in the minor match, I feel that it's going to be a very tight one, and just somebody's going to get a break at at some crucial stage in the game that will swing the whole thing.
Well, I'm just looking down here, number 8, Barry Cunningham with the hair, world shot, and I mean, Barry Cunningham in '92 was a man who came on in the All-Ireland final and played very well, and he was round the county scene at that particular stage. He's had a horrid time with injuries since that, Michael, but there's no doubt, I mean, he's one of the most talented players around, and he forms a midfield partnership with John Van Gallagher, who I think everyone is delighted really is playing here today. He was sent off in the semi-final for what appeared to be a pretty accidental raise of the hand, but he got the minimum 2 week suspension. Midfield's going to be vital, because in that midfield area they're going to be taking on Noel Hegarty and Conall Gavigan. Off the 4, Conall Gavigan would be probably the least known because he hasn't played at inter-county level, but he's a tough competitor.
Well, he might be the least known, but as a club centre field man, and as you say, as a competitor, Conall Gavigan is a man who not alone gives 100% but gives 110%, and you'll find that after this game today, if there's one man whose performance will not be wanting, it will be Conall Gavigan. Noel Hegarty and Conall Gavigan are formidable against John Bonn and Barry Cunningham. I mean, what happens there? You mentioned Barry there. Barry went through a bad stage. He has now managed to get a lot of weight, so obviously he has put a lot of training in, because his weight is right down. He looks really fit out there. centre field is so vital in the game today because that's where forwards are so dependent on a supply coming through with the quick ball that both teams play. There are teams that play the short hand pass. KILLYBEGS in particular, Columba, I feel have an ability when the occasion demands it to switch from the short hand pass onto the longer ball there, and that might be crucial in today's game there. Of course, you take the full back, John Joe Doherty versus Manus Boyle, two men who have soldiered together down the road to Croke Park, who have soldiered together. So that John Joe in the semi-final here was an inspiration. His timing, his clearances, as a matter of fact, he was the difference between the teams in that one. And then at the other end, you have two of the young tigers of Donegal football in opposition to one another, Packie Gillespie and Peter McGinley. So it's intriguing confrontations all over the pitch there.
Yes, Miles. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Miles. So interesting games, and good to see Derry City's Randy Fraser finally getting a goal there, much long overdue. Michael, another line that is of interest to me here on the KILLYBEGS team is their half-forward line. Mark Boyle, Connell Flipper Gallagher and Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan's just returned, in fact he was away there for quite some time. Mark Boyle, I mean, a very tricky player, brother of Declan Boyle. Connell Flipper, underestimated club player as well, and Paul Callahan, a very talented player.
Yeah, a man with unlimited flair, Connell Gallagher. Again, as they often say about great players, a moment or a half second of genius switching a game there. Connell Gallagher quite capable of it. The thing that was remarkable, that of course about this Naomh Columba, they have a youngish team. They have a lot of young players out there. That half-back line of theirs, as we saw in the semi-final, quite capable of giving a good account for themselves. And while unexperienced, maybe Mark Boyle, Connell Gallagher, and Paul Callahan might have a little bit of edge there. You know, it's hard to beat enthusiasm and drive, and that compensates often for that there. The thing like that providing the weather holds up when we get a fast-flowing game, but even at this stage here, looking away to the west there's some big black clouds gathering up there, and it would be a pity if the spectacle were spoiled by rain, because these teams are capable of serving up fantastic fare altogether with the running game that they play.
Okay, well, I mean, it's fair to say, really, another man who's really going to have to be watched very closely. It'll be interesting to see if the confrontation is between John Cunningham but Paddy Hegarty is so vital, really. And Naomh Columba have really used tactics in the past to put him in full forward and give him a roving role. Will he play centre half? And if he does, will John Cunningham be able to really put the shackles on him?
Well, John Cunningham, if John has any fault in his play, it's his tendency to stay off and not mark tight. If he does that there today, there's no two ways about it, but Paddy Cunningham will punish him, and punish him severely. Paddy's the type of player, very, very fast, a very, very fast player, and I think maybe a lot of backs don't realise how really quick he is on the ball. If he starts running at John Cunningham, I would feel John would have difficulty with him there. I would expect Paddy maybe to move around the centre of the field, pick up the loose balls and make the darting runs that he can from there, and when he doesn't make the darting run, lay back and cover up for his brother Noel, who will be running forward.
Well, before the minor final today, we had a minute's silence for the late Joe Carroll, who of course was a great servant to St Eunan's Club, and a minute's silence now being observed for the memory of Joe Carroll. So a minute's silence observed very well by the large crowd here at McCumhaill Park in memory of the late great Joe Carroll, St Eunan's and Donegal, who passed away. And you would have seen Joe play, Michael, very, very often.
Yeah, indeed I did, and actually I played against him too, but Joe was one of those great stalwarts whose contribution to football in Donegal was, you could say, helped for the 1992. He was one of those, he was on our programmes with us, a real gentleman, and a man whom you could sit for hours talking to.
Around the vein. Donegal Town Youth Band giving his rendition of Around the Vein. Paddy Hegarty has lined out at centre half forward. John Cunningham is marking him. We'd like to send our best wishes on behalf of the Four Masters Club to their president, John Joe Mulhern, wishing you a speedy recovery. John Joe apparently is in Letterkenny Hospital at the moment, and this is the first county final he's missed in over 40 years. So Danny McNamee, the PRO, has asked us to extend his and the club's best wishes, and we extend our own best wishes as well, John Joe. Hopefully you're tuned in and listening to Highland Radio's live coverage here from McCumhaill Park in Ballybofey. Naomh Columba versus Killybegs. Referee is Austin Wallace from Bridge End, and Austin in charge here today, and he took charge of the semi-final clash between Killybegs and Arua as well. So certainly he's been in for some tough matches, a member of the Burt Club. And he's out there. Peter Hughes is one linesman, and can't just make out who the far linesman is at the moment, but the officials will have a tough day in their hands. Hughie McGarvey and Dennis McGrenner are behind one set of goals. Samuel Patterson is one of the other umpires, and I think John Friel from Inishowen is the other, if my eyes are not playing tricks with me on that far side. So plenty of experienced officials. The referee just waiting until the band, the Donegal Town Youth Band, make their way around and off the pitch over at the far area. Killybegs on all red, apart from some little white trimmings around the collar and the sleeves, but it's red. And of course the Glen. Naomh Columba in their usual green tops with yellow trimmings and white togs. John Joe Doherty marking Manus Boyle. Connor White being picked up by Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Hegarty being marked by John Cunningham. Barry Cunningham and John Van Gallagher in opposition to Conall. Well, Conall Gavigan in fact has gone to wing back, and Noel McGinley has come to midfield. So there's a switch already. And the ball is in for the start of the 1995 Donegal Senior Final, and the ball well picked up by Conall Gavigan. Conall Gavigan gives it back to Noel Hegarty, tackled right away by Conall Flipper Gallagher. Hegarty sweeps the ball out to the far side there, looking for Seamus Carr. That looks to have a bit too much weight on it. And interesting that Barry McGowan, wearing number 2, is marking Seamus Carr. Carr was one of the stars of Naomh Columba's victory over St Eunan's. He got a lot of possession that day. John Van Gallagher, delighted to be playing, I'm sure, gives the ball into his player manager, the experienced Jimmy White. A long ball forward by Jimmy White, looking for Mark Boyle, who had a very good game in the semi-final, but Conall Gavigan grabs that ball, gives it out to Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham gives it out to the far side to Jared Cannon. Jared Cannon takes a little bit of a late knock. The ball's out for a sideline ball on the 45-metre line, or just inside the 45-metre line. The ball played back the way to John Joe Doherty. John Joe gives it into Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham forced across, plays the ball intelligently forward, looking for Georgie Doherty. Georgie's on the ground, but up he gets and gives it to Desi Cunningham. Desi Cunningham into Noel Hegarty, tackled by Mark Boyle, fouled by Mark Boyle, sweeps him away. Hegarty plays it long into the corner, looking for Porrick Gillespie. Gillespie had it and lost it. This is Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan gives it to Jimmy White. Jimmy White sidesteps, gives the ball out to Francis Murray. Francis Murray forward to Barry Cunningham. Barry Cunningham solo runs the ball, gives it back to Francis Murray on the halfway line. Murray's kick is a big high kick in the direction of Paul Feet Murn. Paul Feet trying to use his body to block it, but he's under pressure from Ewan McIntyre. Ewan McIntyre does very well. He's fouled by Murn, and it's going to be a free out. The free quickly taken forward to Paul O'Donnell inside there to Noel McGinley. Noel McGinley in possession. Fists the ball over to Paddy Hegarty. John Cunningham right with him. Swings an arm at him, and Paddy Hegarty gets a little bit of a knock as well. Now the referee's going to throw the ball up. Paddy Hegarty, a bit of descent shown, and Austin Wallace going to have none of that. Up the ball goes. Hegarty uses his strength to push Barry Cunningham out of the way. Gets a tackle from John Cunningham. In goes the ball straight to John Van Gallagher. John Van has it. A little bit frantic at the moment. Gives it out to Jimmy White. Jimmy on the halfway line. Paddy Hegarty comes and tackles him. Throws him to the ground. Free to Killybegs. Wants to take it quickly. Trevor McNairn was moving off the ball, but being watched by Conall Gavigan. Jimmy decides to play it long up the middle. Dropping ball in, dangerously in, but it's beautifully fielded by Desi Cunningham. Desi Cunningham is fouled as he got our ball away, and it's going to be a free out. A little bit frantic start, Michael, and a bit of hard hitting. Yeah, there are markers being put down there by players to see who's the boss and who's not the boss there. And early indications there that referee Wallace isn't going to stand for any nonsense. He had awarded that free to Paddy Hegarty, and Paddy should have been content with that and get on with the play and let Mr. Wallace do the refereeing. Jared Cannon has possession, slips the ball nicely to Desi Cunningham. Desi Cunningham drives it low up. John Cunningham goes across, didn't get there, but the ball comes to Barry Cunningham. Barry Cunningham into John Van Gallagher. John Van steps inside the tackle, gives it to Manus Boyle. Manus Boyle 45 metres out, meets the shoulder of John Joe Doherty and meets it well. Manus Boyle solo running forward, good run by Manus Boyle. Will cut out the way again, looking for support outside him. Sweeps the ball out to John Ban. John Ban halfway between the 21 and the 45. He goes back the way. Barry Cunningham's left foot slices the ball. Manus Boyle getting onto it, but well, is beautifully fielded in there by John Joe Doherty. Lovely bit of fielding there by the inter-county star. Such a stalwart for Naomh Columba over the years. John Joe, right-footed, looking for Paddy Hegarty. John Cunningham's with him, but Paddy Hegarty, fleet of foot, gets possession. John Cunningham showing him the sideline. Barry Cunningham, or excuse me, Paddy Hegarty steps inside him. He's got support forward of him as well. There's danger here for Killybegs. The pass, well, just had a little bit too much on it, and Barry McGowan casually and coolly comes across, gives it back to Peter McGinley. It was Paul O'Donnell who was inside there. Now it's Francis Murray in possession. He gives it to Barry McGowan. Killybegs playing their way intelligently out of trouble. Barry McGowan sweeps the ball out here, looking for Flipper Gallagher close to the sideline. Well fisted inside. In fact, it was Paul Moore. Now Mark Boyle has it. Mark Boyle does very well, and Paul Feet Moores away forward of him as well. And Ewan McIntyre struggling in his wake. This is Feet. Feet gives it in, but well intercepted there by Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham intercepting that beautifully. The intended pass for Conor White. Perhaps Feet Moore should have taken his own point, but here comes Noel McGinley. Noel McGinley now drives the ball into the corner, looking for Porrick Gillespie. Porrick Gillespie out of head of Peter McGinley, two former minor stars and under 21 panellists this year. Here comes Gillespie. Gillespie on the right foot, shoots, and the opening score of the game is a very fine point from Porrick Gillespie. Gillespie, who set up what proved to be the vital goal in the semi-final against St Eunan's, getting possession out in a similar position there and cutting inside. This time he decided he would go for his point, and a well-taken score, Michael. A good opening score by Porrick Gillespie. A very good score there, because he had to round the full-back Peter McGinley, who was keeping close to him, and he was shooting from a very, very close angle. It's nice to see forwards able to pick off scores like that. And it's vital, of course, that they do. We waited a long time in the minor game for a score from play. We've got it early in the senior game. Noel Hegarty surrounded, and he's fouled. Noel Hegarty takes it quickly, looking for Gillespie again. Peter McGinley's right there with him. Who'll get it this time? McGinley does well on this occasion. Good play by the full-back, and he's dragged to the ground by Porrick Gillespie. And Gillespie just won't let him go, and the referee, Austin Wallace, is going to have a strong word with Gillespie there, and the full forward just needs to be a little bit careful. Austin Wallace telling Jimmy White to take the ball forward. The ball kicked forward by Jimmy White, should be picked up by Desi Cunningham. Well, he got it and he lost it again. This is Barry Cunningham looking for Manus Boyle. Wasn't a great pass, and John Joe Doherty out in front, but it comes instead. Manus Boyle has it now. Manus Boyle going through, he's up to the 14-metre line. He's been tackled, he's on his left foot, he shoots and puts the ball over the bar. Well, John Joe surprisingly got there and lost possession, and the ball came to Conor Flipper Gallagher. He released it very quickly to Manus Boyle. Well, Manus still had plenty to do, because there was a lot of players around him, and the ball went over the bar, and well, I think Kevin Doherty's placed the ball on the edge of the small parallelogram. I'm not sure why. In fact, the referee, I think, has awarded a free out at that score. That ball must have went wide. It looked to me, Michael, as if it had gone over the bar.
Well,
but
the antics from the supporters behind the bar would indicate that it did go over the bar.
well, the score hasn't been awarded. We can confirm that because the kick out was from the small parallelogram. Here comes Mark Ball. Mark Ball sore run through. He's got a chance. He almost got across to Manus Boyd, but Neath Columba defending well again. Just a hand come out from somewhere and prevented that from getting to his intended target.
I think it was John Joe Doherty got his hand to that.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. The ball comes, Conall Gavigan gives it back to Paddy Cunningham into Noel Hegarty. Keep ball by Neath Columba. The ball across to Jared Cannon and right half back. A little bit of time to get it, but he's got it there. Beats the tackle of Paul Callahan, gives the ball inside. Well, there was a lot of people standing and watching. Desi Cunningham took some action. Desi Cunningham gives it back there to Conall Gavigan. Gavigan plays a long ball forward here, and Barry McGowan behind Seamus Carr, but the ball comes instead to Porrick Gillespie. Porrick Gillespie, well, certainly going for the point, but going to go nowhere near it. That ball about 10-12 yards wide of the right hand side. But Neath Columba playing a good keep ball sort of a game, Michael, but really their defence has been opened up, and apart from last ditch interceptions, they could have been in serious trouble a couple of times.
Yeah, but it's early stages yet. They haven't got into settled down, I suppose, but the indicators are that they'll have to keep a very tight rein, particularly on that half forward line there. Conall Gallagher and Mark Boyle are creating problems even at this early stage.
The breaking ball picked up by Conall Cunningham. Conall Cunningham gives it in to Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty looking for Porrick Gillespie again. Forced wide on this occasion, but the young full forward has it. Gillespie, such an intelligent young footballer, coming out towards the 14-metre line. Peter McGinley keeping him out, but now he's cutting inside. He's done very well, his Gillespie. That's a fine score by Porrick Gillespie. Well, he had no options really. He had to carry the ball himself. He was being forced away from goals, but that didn't deter him one bit. 2 points for Porrick Gillespie, 2 points for Neath Columba, and they lead by 2 points to no score, and we've gone 8 minutes into this game. So Neath Columba, in many people's minds, the underdogs coming in here, but certainly I always felt this was going to be a very, very close final. Neath Columba played very poorly in the semi-final. They had to improve for today's final. Killybegs will be nervous about this game. John Band knocked the ball down, but he was got to knock himself as he was doing so, and it's a free in the midfield area, and Noel Hegarty drops the ball. John Band wants to take it quickly. There's movement ahead of him. Manus Boyd trying to find space, but he knocks it across to the far side, and it's easily intercepted on that far side. This is Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty gives it to his brother Paddy. Steps round the tackle of Barry Cunningham. Still going. Being chased there by Paul Feetmore and dragged to the ground by Paul Moore. Paddy Cunningham takes it quickly. But Paddy Hegarty, there's a chance now for Paul O'Donnell. There's a chance for Seamus Carr. In fact, great save. A brilliant save there by Ian Cunningham. That was a goal chance. It was Seamus Carr, the experienced man, who got in there behind the defence, left Barry McGowan in his wake. Beautiful ball in by Paddy Hegarty, but the goalkeeper Ian Cunningham made a super save. Killybegs replying now in the form of Conor White. Conor White in a standing position, however, near the dugouts. The referee says he was fouled. He takes the free quickly, knocks the ball up to Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan, a fine underage player a couple of years ago. Callahan, he's got Manus Boyd stepping inside him. Manus Boyd demands the ball and gets it. Has one look at the goals on his right foot. He shoots, and that ball goes just wide. And Manus Boyd certainly is not going to be afraid to shoot, Michael.
Oh, and it's important for Killybegs that he have his shooting boots on today there. But we have to go back to that save. That was a wonderful save there by Cunningham, because Seamus Carr's an experienced player. He decided he wasn't going to waste time lifting it. He bided his time. He moved closer, and the goalkeeper came out and spread him out. And that could be a crucial save.
Absolutely. Neath Columba 2 points. Killybegs no score. Almost 10 minutes gone in the game. Kevin Doherty takes the kick out. It drops around midfield. John Band got hands to it but couldn't hold it. The ball instead is picked up by Georgie Doherty. Georgie Doherty sweeps it away. Well, it was very well done there by Jared Cannon, and now Paddy Hegarty has a chance to move. Paddy Hegarty, John Band trying to get back goal side of him. Hegarty still in possession. Onto his right foot. That one will drop in. Barry McGowan gets there before the goalkeeper. McGowan, cool, calm and collected in possession. He's fouled. He wants support. Porrick Gillespie won't allow him to take it quickly. The referee says come forward. Now people getting on the move. This is Flipper. Conall Flipper got her in possession. Desi Cunningham right with him, but Conall Flipper's a strong lad. Knocks the ball forward. Well, it wasn't a good pass, and it's going to be intercepted back there. And well intercepted by Ewan McIntyre. He gives it to Conall Gavigan. He gives it to Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty driving forward as he loves to do. Give it to Conall Gavigan again. Wearing 9 but playing in half back. Knocks the ball forward looking for Porrick Gillespie. Peter McGinley did extremely well, but Conall Gavigan continued his run forward. He clashes with John Cunningham. Both go to the ground, and the referee will call a play because there was a clash of heads, an accidental clash of heads there, and both players are going to receive treatment. But really, Michael, a bright opening by the Glen men.
It is like we said at the beginning there that we feel they're the type of team that can lift the game. They're certainly doing it there. That there is an interesting thing. Two old warriors clashing there. It's a question of two immovable objects meeting head on there, and both of them suffered this year now. But the thing that is noticeable is that there's not all that much play around centre field. It's the two half-back lines that are doing most of the play there, and John Joe Doherty has proven once again how invaluable he is in there at full back by getting his hand to that particular ball that seemed to be destined for the back of the net.
Well, the two players still receiving treatment here, halfway between the Killybegs 21 and 45, but both look as if they're going to recover. Both committed to going down for the ball. Clashed heads, but John Cunningham's back on his feet, and Conall Gavigan gingerly getting to his feet, looks a little bit groggy, a little bit drowsy. Michael Oliver McIntyre, a long servant of Glen, both as a player and now behind the scenes in the management side of things, and in fact played for the reserve team here a couple of weeks ago. He's in with a magic bottle, but everyone looks as if they've recovered, and referee Austin Wallace will restart play with a ball thrown in between Noel Hegarty and John Van Galler. Up it comes, the hands go down, the ball's knocked forward. Pádraig Gillespie looked favoured to get it. Trevor McNairn made sure that he didn't. Peter McGinley coming out, he's surrounded, he loses possession. John Cunningham got a boot to it, the ball goes forward. Paul Callahan takes a pretty rough and tumble tackle there from Jared Cannon, but he's back on his feet, gives it to Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle been tackled by Conall Gavigan, who's fully recovered. Boyle now knocks the ball into the corner, looking for Conor White. Paddy Cunningham's out ahead of him. Paddy Cunningham is a great little corner back. He gives the ball forward now, and here come the Glen men again. Georgie Doherty gives it to Paddy Hegarty on the 45-metre line. Paddy Hegarty going across the 45-metre line, now stepping inside, pulled to the ground there by Conor White, and it's going to be a free to Naomh Columba, and Noel Hegarty will take this one from 42, maybe 41 metres.
There's no doubt about it, but at the moment the Glen men are definitely having the upper hand.
Plenty of movement from Glen, and really their full back line at the moment seems to have the beating of the full forward line, and that's going to be vital. Noel Hegarty snatched to that one a little bit, but he just couldn't get the accuracy on, and the ball went wide. Noel Hegarty, the regular free taker for Naomh Columba. We've gone 13 and a half minutes into the game. Naomh Columba 2 points, Killybegs no score. Pádraig Gillespie with both points, 5 minutes and 8 minutes, and both came from play. Ian Cunningham, who's produced a super save from a Seamus Carr effort, looked a certain goal. Paddy Hegarty picks up a poor kick out on the 45-metre line, goes away at pace. John Cunningham's right there with him. Hegarty goes to ground, but he's back up again. Now he's got a man inside him. This is a chance now. Seamus Carr's inside again. A chance, brilliant block there by Francis Murray. The ball comes to Paul O'Donnell. Paul O'Donnell shoots. His effort is brilliantly blocked as well. Well, that was a super block there, and Barry Cunningham gives it out to Jimmy White. Jimmy White's pulled to the ground there, and I think the referee's going to have to take some action, Michael, because just in the last few minutes it looks to me as if Naomh Columba have decided they're just going to foul defenders when they get possession.
Well, that's a trend in the game today. Like, if you're going to give away free before with the way that both teams build up from the back, there's a question of stopping the source of where the danger can come from, and when backs get a ball, it's a tendency now of forwards to pull them down.
Well, it's Paul O'Donnell who's gone into the referee's book, so he'll need to be careful. Francis Murray encouraging his Killybegs teammates to get more into this game. The ball's up, feet. Moran tried to knock it down, he did, but Paddy Cunningham was there. Cunningham gives the ball forward to Georgie Doherty. Cunningham comes forward and takes it again, knocks it into Noel Hegarty, the playmaker in midfield, wants to get going. Hegarty's away ahead of John Van Galler. John Cunningham trying to close him down. Paddy Hegarty's with him. Noel Hegarty being blocked out of it. John Cunningham in now to Paddy Hegarty. There's a chance now for Paddy Hegarty, but he turns back onto his right foot again. Francis Murray's with him, gives it to Paul O'Donnell. He turned into the trouble. Paul O'Donnell shoots. His shot is half blocked, and Ian Cunningham has it. Barry Cunningham is shouting for the ball out here on the far side. Jimmy White sees him, but it comes instead to Conor White. Conor White gives it to Barry Cunningham. Conor White's gone forward again, knocks the ball forward, looking for Flipper. Conor Flipper Galler has the ball. He also has Desi Cunningham very close to him. Manus Boyle comes out to take the ball. Manus has it. John Joe Doherty, well, he couldn't get a tackle on him. Manus is going through. There's a chance now for Manus Boyle. Manus Boyle shoots and puts the ball over the bar for the opening score for Killybegs. And it certainly looks to me as if Manus Boyle is keen to make an impression here today. Each time he's got possession, he's very positive in going for goals. On that occasion, John Joe Doherty committed himself a little bit early. The ball went over his head. He tried to flap it down with his hand, but Manus got it into his chest. And although there was two defenders hanging out of him as he went forward, he carried it right through, almost to the edge of the big parallelogram, and blasted the ball over the bar. An opening score, but it's taken almost 16 minutes for that to come. The ball out to midfield again. Barry Cunningham goes up, got two hands to it but couldn't hold it. Paddy Hegarty picks up the pieces. Paddy Hegarty bursting forward, gives it forward now to Noel McGinley. Noel McGinley going forward on his right foot. He shoots and puts it. It hits the bar, in fact, and in goes Francis Murray. Francis Murray's played very, very well so far in this game, and he got possession there. Gives it out to John Band. John Band's got John Cunningham outside him. He gives it to John Cunningham. He's going to run into trouble, but he just knocks Paddy Hegarty out of the way as if he didn't exist. The ball's knocked forward, but it's Desi Cunningham leaving it to John Joe Doherty. John Joe outside his own 21 metre line. Toe to hand the ball once, twice, knocks the ball inside to Conall Cunningham. Conall Cunningham gives it forward. Georgie Doherty on to Noel Hegarty. He blasts it forward early looking for Pádraig Gillespie. Gillespie has it, gives it to Seamus Carr. Seamus Carr coming up the 21 metre line. Seamus Carr shoots, and the ball drifts wide of that far side. But young Pádraig Gillespie making himself available. He's been left isolated in there, and he's certainly causing Peter McGinley one or two problems. Although in fairness to McGinley, he's coming out about even Steven so far. Gillespie has scored 2 points, but McGinley's got the better of him on one or two other occasions. Francis Murray's having an excellent game in defence. Barry McGowan playing a very, very casual role, I would feel, out there. Barry's been suffering from an injury for a long time, and I think he's just containing himself. Barry Cunningham fielded that ball beautifully, give it to John Band, got the return pass, knocks the ball up looking for Conor White, very close to the sideline. Conor White, well, he just about kept it in play, but Paddy Cunningham got there. The linesman in fact says that the ball was out. The referee hasn't seen him yet, but the play's going to have to come back all the way. The linesman has his flag up. The ball's gone out for a 45 in any case, but I think that the attention of the referee will be drawn to the linesman now. The ball was out for a sideline ball, and the linesman still has his flag raised, and the Killybegs, Jimmy White, has actually seen the linesman and give the ball out for a sideline ball. John Joe Doherty having a word with referee Wallace. Not sure what that was all about, but the end result is a sideline ball just outside the 21 metre for Naomh Columba. We've gone 18 minutes, low scoring final. Naomh Columba 2 points, Killybegs 1 point. John Joe receives the short one, gives it to Conall Gavigan, gets it back again. Being tackled in there, being tackled hard by Mark Boyle, goes to ground, it's a free out. John Joe never keen to give away possession, looking for support. Noel Hegarty tells him to knock it over his head. John Van Goller's making it very difficult for Noel Hegarty in there at the moment. Very tight marking by Killybegs. The ball knocked forward. Barry McGowan coming on to it, fields it very well and gets a sliding tackle and a foul tackle by Noel Hegarty. Doesn't make anything of it. Referee has a quick word with Hegarty. Hegarty apologises. Here come Killybegs again. John Band going forward. He's got Mark Boyle inside him. Mark Boyle with notions of space on his left foot, and he uses the space and he uses the left foot, and he knocks the ball over the bar. And Michael, just in the last minute or two, Killybegs beginning to open that Naomh Columba defence.
Yeah, they had it completely open there, a real motorway down the middle there. Mark Boyle, he could have nearly taken a snack before he tapped that one over, because there was no one covering him off altogether.
19 minutes gone. Killybegs 2 points in a row from them. Manus Boyle from play, Mark Boyle from play, and that's replied to the 2 points earlier in the game, both by Pádraig Gillespie for Naomh Columba. The sides are level. Killybegs 2 points, Naomh Columba 2 points. Barry Cunningham fields the ball beautifully again. Good to see Barry Cunningham out there playing and playing very, very well. One of the best players that Donegal have produced in many years, and certainly a midfielder who could do a great job if he was fit. Pádraig Gillespie. Pádraig Gillespie trying to get around Peter McGinley. John Cunningham's there with him. Well, he seemed to turn twice or three times. He seemed to touch the ball on the ground, but in any case, Francis Murray has it. Jimmy White gives it to John Band. John Band holding up possession, looking for support, plays the long ball. Paddy Cunningham coming on to it. John Joe coming on to it, but they're both getting one another's way, and Conor White's through now on the far side. He's on the 21 metre line. He's on his left foot. He shoots. Good save by Kevin Doherty. John Joe Doherty's in to help him, but Kevin Doherty does very well. Brilliant save. Conor White went for the goal, perhaps when he should have taken the point. But here come the Glen men again. Georgie Doherty gets possession. Doherty half blocked up the line. Francis Murray. Well, Francis Murray pushed away from the ball there by Paul O'Donnell. John Band gets half a hand to it, almost enough, because Ewan McIntyre was fouled. And it's up and down stuff here. Paddy Hegarty wants to take a quick one, knocks the ball into Noel McGinley. He's going to be tackled straight away, but he fits the ball out to the far side to Jared Cannon. Jared Cannon forward to Seamus Carr. Good football in this county final. Jared Cannon knocks it forward, looking for Conall Cunningham. Conall Cunningham had possession and lost it. Killybegs get men behind the ball, but there was a foul on one of the Glen men. I think it was Noel McGinley, and it's going to be a free in from about 26 metres, and it will be Noel Hegarty to take it over on that far side. 20 minutes, almost 21 minutes gone. and an opportunity for Noel Haggerty to get his first score of the game and restore the Niamh Columba lead. This is an awkward angle for a right-footed kicker. It's on the wrong side, kicking towards the Ballybofey and curls the ball in. It's not going to get in there. Barry McGowan jumps ahead of everybody, and he's pulled to the ground in there by Pádraig Gillespie. And Killybegs not too happy about that. Barry McGowan certainly not happy about it. And Michael, the personal foul there again.
Yeah, seeing that the referee is so tight on other things, you would think the personal foul that he would deal with that there, because the few times that the game has got going there, we've seen some lovely inter-passing, some lovely flowing football.
John Cunningham, the Killybegs captain, having a word with the referee as he came out. Barry Cunningham's seemed to hit his head as he was dragged to the ground there by Pádraig Gillespie. It was lovely fielding by Barry McGowan. As I say, he's playing wearing number 2, playing corner back, but looks to me as if he's playing well within himself. I know he has been suffering from a bit of an injury, and there was a doubt about him playing in the semi-final, but such a talented player, Barry McGowan, playing corner back, but not taking too much out of himself at this particular stage. The kick out again, fisted down by Noel Haggerty in the direction of Paul O'Donnell. O'Donnell has it, he's looking for support, he's been forced back the way, he knocks the ball into Haggerty again. Haggerty, lovely dummy, steps inside Paul Callahan, gives the ball into the far side to Georgie Doherty. Georgie Doherty on the right foot, kicks it straight into the goalkeeper's arms. Ian Cunningham takes it, no trouble whatsoever. Francis Murray's been the star of the first half in defence for me so far. This is John Van, gives it into John Cunningham. John Cunningham's got Jimmy White to his left, but he goes to the right, gives it to Barry Cunningham. Barry Cunningham steps inside a tackle or two, gives it out to Barry Cunningham. It wasn't a good pass. Barry Cunningham did very well. The ball knocked out of the hands there of Conor White. This is Paddy Haggerty. Paddy Haggerty trying to go forward. John Cunningham tackles him well. The ball's close to the sideline, but the ball's knocked forward. Pádraig Gillespie couldn't take it. Good tackling by Peter McGinley. Trevor McNairn trying to find a space where there didn't appear to be any. But anyway, in case he still got possession, Barry Cunningham, quick release of the ball to John Van Gallagher. Barry Cunningham playing well in this opening half. The ball knocked forward again. Mark Boyle trying to make something of it, but Desi Cunningham's in. Desi Cunningham's fouled outside his 45-metre line. It's going to be a free. Great commitment as you'd expect from these two neighbours from southwest Donegal. John Joe Doherty's on the run again. The ball's knocked back the way to John Joe. John Joe being forced wide by Mark Boyle. Near the dugouts on the far side, on the seated area, gives the ball back to Desi Cunningham, into Noel Haggerty. Noel Haggerty steps round the tackle of tried to step round the tackle of Manus Boyle. He was fouled, drives it forward again, looking for Pádraig Gillespie. This is the tactic. Gillespie has it close to the sideline on the far side. He's stepping in, he's stepping out. Paddy Haggerty trying to get on the run. Conal Cunningham also on the run. Gillespie selling dummies right, left and centre. Gives the ball in. It's picked up by Jared Cannon. He's tackled. Gives the ball back to Gillespie again. Gillespie on his right foot. Knocks the ball over the bar. Well, that's super play by Pádraig Gillespie there. He made that and he finished that. And really, this is a young player, Michael, who we've seen at underage level for the last few years. He's been suffering from an injury this year, but coming along very nicely.
Yeah, not afraid to take on thing. You know, if anything comes out of these two finals today, we've seen some lovely forward play. When you take Winston and Boyle in the minor match, and now Pádraig Gillespie there, he started that out on the side. They were backs round him like bees round a pot of honey, but he still managed to get out and make an angle for himself.
The kick out again is a long one. John Van got one hand to it, seemed to be held down by Noel Haggerty. The referee concurs. Noel Haggerty having a little word with the referee. I'm sure Noel doesn't concur, but he was holding his man. The ball knocked forward. John Joe trying to get out in front of Manus, but Manus has it on this occasion. Manus Boyd trying to solo run his way past John Joe Doherty. Not an easy thing to do, but he fists the ball across there to Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan trying to find space where there doesn't appear to be any, but now he finds good space for Jimmy White. Jimmy White on his right foot shoots, but that one's going to go wide of the right hand post of Kevin Doherty. One or two sighs in the crowd. Jimmy should have done better, Michael.
Yeah, well, a man of his experience there. He was only 21 yards out. He was in front of goals. There was nobody in the next parish of him there, and he had all the time in the world, and he seemed to just try to go for that top corner, and unfortunately it was on the outside of the post.
24, almost 25 minutes gone, just over 5 minutes to go to half time. Low scoring county final, but the football's good. Killybegs 2 points, Niamh Columba 3 points, the beaten finalists of last year, and a terrible first half display last year against Arua, but a much improved one here. John Van knocks the ball down. Mark Boyle picks up the pieces. Jimmy White's gone outside him, but he's got support inside him as well. Knocks the ball across for Paul Callahan. It wasn't a good pass by Mark Boyle. It didn't give him any chance of getting it, and it's Jared Cannon who has possession now. He gives it forward to Noel McGinley. Noel McGinley drives it forward. Barry McGowan trying to get across there. Good play by Barry McGowan. Well, I think a rather harsh decision there, Michael. Barry McGowan played the ball. He didn't need to foul the man. I think his momentum carried him forward.
A harsh and harsh one there, and it's not often like Barry McGowan isn't the type of player that complains unless he feels he's hard done by. Now, I would feel in that particular instance that he certainly was hard done by. He was reaching over to get his hand at the ball. His momentum, as you say, carried him on. and for a free to be awarded against in conditions like that.
Bit harsh, because he certainly played the ball and his momentum then carried him through the man, but definitely his full intention was to play the ball, and he did that. Noel Hegarty takes a quick free and gives it up to Conall Cunningham. Conall Cunningham trying to force his way forward. He's tackled well by Trevor McNairn, but the ball now is dangerously in there. Hands go up and reach for it. Barry McGowan had it, he lost it. A great save again. There was a chance there for Conall Cunningham. Barry McGowan seemed to have possession and then lose possession, and the ball broke into the hands of Conall Cunningham. He shot immediately, but Ian Cunningham produces his second goal-saving effort of the first half, Michael.
Oh, definitely. Two of the highlights would have to be his two saves there, because that was a shot from point-blank range. And again, whatever knack he has of spreading himself across the goal there, he just doesn't give the forwards anything to shoot at. But that was one of those great saves that can win matches.
Well, we're just 3 minutes away from half-time. At half-time, during the half-time interval, we'll be talking to the St Eunan's team, one of the St Eunan's team management. Noel Cassidy will be coming to join us, and we'll also be going quickly across to the Brandywell to get an update on Derry City versus Drogheda. Sandy Fraser had broken his duck, of course, to put Derry City in the lead the last time we were there. Paddy Hegarty got the breaking ball in midfield, and he was subsequently fouled, so it's going to be a free, and this free looks as if it's going to be taken. Well, there's trouble in here for... Is it John Cunningham? I think John Cunningham's gone to ground here. He asked the referee to...
It seems to be the effects of that knock that he took early on for himself, and Conall Gavigan collided.
Just holding his head at the moment, and John Cunningham, not the type of player to go down unless there's something wrong, but certainly a bit of a head injury. Our Ardra Miners unfortunately lost their team captain Conall Doherty very early in the game, and he would have been expected to play a big part in their match today, but they lost him. But nonetheless, they performed very, very well. But 2-9 from Kevin Munson of St Eunan's was the difference between the two sides, although we saw 10 points at the other end from Jonathan Boyle for Ardra. Great personal performances by both players, but Munson got the winning goal very late in that particular game.
I think you have the same in this match here. Pádraig Gillespie having got all the scores for Niamh Columba.
Pádraig Gillespie certainly making an impression. Former minor himself, of course, and a member of Donal Reid's under-21 squad this particular year. John Cunningham still in the ground. The Hegarty brothers in the vicinity showing their concern. John Cunningham's back on his feet again, and certainly if I was Killybegs I'd be concerned, because Big John doesn't complain too much about injuries. He's been very unlucky in his career, picking up a lot of injuries that have curtailed his inter-county career. Certainly he missed a lot of matches because of injury, but he's marking Paddy Hegarty and trying to get on the run, but the ball's knocked forward to Paddy Hegarty. Both of them went to ground. 6 of one, half a dozen others, is the referee, and quite rightly. Barry McGowan coming forward now, takes a late knock, but it doesn't worry him too much. He's still on the move. Jimmy White has it. Jimmy White takes a very late knock, and that was a rather stupid foul there by Georgie Doherty, completely uncalled for.
Good decision by referee Wallace there, because that's the kind of things that create problems in a match and get tempers up, tackles after the ball has been cleared.
I think Manus Boyle fancies Barry Cunningham coming forward to take this one. It's on the right side for a left-footed kicker, let's put it that way. It's about 26 metres out. John Joe Doherty having a little word with the referee, but if he's complaining about that late tackle, John Joe, you have absolutely no room for complaint. It happened right in front of our eyes.
It's like the fella who ate the bun and said he didn't get the bun.
John Joe trying to make it difficult here for Barry Cunningham. He doesn't look to be 14 metres away to me. Barry Cunningham coming forward. He's going to chip it low. Chips it low in there to Mark Boyle. Barry Cunningham will take it back now with a chance, and Barry Cunningham blasts the ball wide. John Joe Doherty getting back there to make the tackle. Oh, but wasteful, Michael. He should have knocked the ball over the bar.
Unbelievable that a player of his experience and calibre would send a ball like that wide, but maybe it's an indication too of how much John Joe Doherty means to Niamh Columba, because he was down there, he was back on Barry Cunningham like a shot to put him under pressure there and make him. I suppose you could give the credit to John Joe.
Manus Boyle has moved out to centre half forward. Conall Flipper Guller's gone into full forward. The ball's knocked down, and it's Desi Cunningham who's waiting for it. Desi Cunningham knocks the ball to the far side, picked up by Jared Cannon. Jared Cannon gives it out there to Georgie Doherty. Georgie Doherty gives it into Noel Hegarty. Tries to well, he did take a tackle, didn't try it at all. Now he's on the run, and there's a chance here. Jared Cannon on his right foot decides to shoot himself, and that's a fine score from the right half back. Noel Hegarty went on the run himself, but the young right half-back decided he'd take the responsibility for it, and 30 seconds into injury time he knocks it over the bar. There will be a bit of injury time, of course, because of that injury stoppage for that clash between Conall Gavigan and John Cunningham. but with a little bit of a breeze at their back, Neath Columba, slightly the more impressive side in this first half, and they deservedly lead by 4 points to 2.
It's a crucial time to get a score like that in a tight game there, because just coming up to half time.
Ian Cunningham's kick out, a lot of players got put their hands down, but none got down to it, and Peter McGinley comes out and gets possession. Peter McGinley, with that shock of red hair, gives it forward to John Cunningham. John Cunningham sees a bit of space in front of him, knocks the ball forward looking for Flipper. John Joe, well, for once made something of a mistake, but he's injured in the process, he's fouled in the process, and there's actually 3 players in a bit of a heap out there now as well. Full commitment from all 3 players, and all 3 players now on the ground suffering from injuries.
Nearly like a picnic scene out there with the 3 of them stretched out. But again, as you say, it's overcommitment. Players aren't looking to see what's coming. All they see is a ball, and they're going for that ball there. No malice intended there, just pure, honest endeavour.
Well, 3 players down, so this will necessitate another long delay. Just to remind you, we will be going across to Martin Holmes and Brian Wright for an update from the Brandywell. 3:15 kick-off there, so they should be just about, well, they should be into the second half by quite some time, of course, because the second half would have got underway at 4:15. We'll get a quick update from them very shortly, and we'll be talking to St Eunan's mentor and joint team manager Noel Cassidy about that minor victory over Ardra earlier in the day during the half-time break here at McCumhaill Park. Miles will also update us on the news from the Walker Cup. Great Britain and Ireland sharing the foursomes this morning, taking a 2-match lead into this afternoon's singles. It was level in 2, they were up in 3 and down in 3. The 2 Irishmen who won this morning, Flanagan and Harrington, were both down in their singles. And we'll also have an update from the Lacombe Trophy, and of course Johnny Herbert and the Benetton won the Italian Grand Prix today. Noel Hegarty with the free from the hands. It's Paddy Hegarty away out there. Noel Hegarty's well forward of him, and he gets possession. And now Neath Columba in the form of Noel Hegarty bursting right in. Noel Hegarty with a chance. He shoots on the left foot and he blasts it wide. Well, Michael, he did very well to get the ball. He did brilliantly to get in there, but maybe he should have fisted it over when he was on his wrong foot.
Well, he might have been better to release it to someone else, but I mean, it was labour in vain. He did great work to get there, but the end product is what counts, and the only time it counts is when it's between the sticks there, and unfortunately that one was away on the outside of the sticks, and counts for nothing.
Ian Cunningham takes the kick out, and there goes the half-time whistle. So at half-time in the senior championship final here at McCumhaill Park, it's Neath Columba 4 points, Killybegs 2 points, nothing really between them, all to play for. All to play for there, and as we said earlier on, it's just going to be a question of somebody going to get a break somewhere through the second half. But entertaining football, some very good football, some very flowing football. Nothing, as you could say, malicious in any of the injuries that were pure accidental, coming from pure commitment. For me, the man of the match would have to be so far young Pádraig Gillespie there. And I would also, you have to give a half-back a lot of credit when he comes up there and gets the scores. For Killybegs to be disappointed with Manus Boyle's contribution, just because you depend a lot on players like Manus at times like this here. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of hard talk and a lot of hard thinking done. Well, an interesting substitute going off there for Killybegs, Glasgow Celtic player Declan Boyle. I wonder will he play a part in the second half. We'll find that out during the second half. We'll take a short break there, and in fact, before we go to the break, we've got Noel Cassidy with us, so if you just stay with us, we'll just have a quick word with Noel when he's been kind enough to join us here in our commentary position. Noel, thanks for coming up so quickly. Well, Noel, heart-stopping stuff in that minor semi-final?
Very much so, Charlie, because we were going to have a hard game, and maybe when Colin Doherty went off injured, I thought we would have been able to pick up the thing a bit more, but Ardra really played it up to us. They're a very good side. I've been with this bunch of lads for the last 6 years, and it's the first county championship that they've won. They've worked very hard, and I'd been very disappointed for St Eunan's if we hadn't to win today, because the whole summer's work would have been gone, not just for the minors but for the club, because the seniors went out in the semi-final, the reserve team went out, so it was up to the minors, and on the day we had the man Ken Winston. Yeah,
it's amazing really. I mean, I've seen Kevin play better over an hour's play, but a remarkable return of 2 goals and 9 points. You can't say much about that, no? Really.
You can't comment, because he was a captain. It was his last year as a minor, so his 4th year to play minor football, but it was his year, and he wanted it. and he showed that today.
Yeah.
As come the hour, come the man.
Sure. Vital contributions there as well. Paul O'Dowd switching out to midfield, played very well. David McGinley only scored a point, but really played very, very well throughout the game.
David got an awful lot of possession in the middle of the field and used it well. Paul had to come out because we needed a bit of a physical presence in the middle of the field, because the ball was breaking and we weren't getting the breaks. So we needed somebody with, as I said, a physical presence who was going to get the ball, get it into Kevin, because it can do no good out in the middle of the park. You have to get it into your full forwards.
Twice in the second half you led by 3 points and looked as if you were going to really take control of the game at that stage, but great credit to Ardra, they came back on both occasions.
Well, that's typical Ardra. They don't know when they're beaten, and that's it's a very hard thing to say. Last year in the minor final we had them, I think we were 15 points up at one stage. They took us back to 3.
Yeah.
That is the type of Ardra. They just don't know when the game is over until the whistle.
And a big loss to them, losing Conall Doherty so early in the game. I mean, he was bound to play or be a big factor in the game, though.
We would have expected Conall to have a lot to say in the match. I think, though, that the rest of the players lifted themselves a heck of a lot when Conall went, because in adversity other people can come up trumps, and they lifted their game. But I hope Conall, wish him all the best, and I hope he recovers quickly, because he is a fine footballer.
Absolutely. Well, when it got to 1-12 each, would you have settled for a draw at that particular stage? No, because really, for the 5 minutes prior to that, Ardra were in the ascendancy and looked as if perhaps they were going to go on and win it.
No, I never wanted to draw, because I don't think my heart would have put up with another game like that.
It was tough. One controversial moment there, Ardra, a free awarded against them for what obviously was awarded for a square ball, I think, down here, a big high ball in. I mean, to us here, it didn't look as if it was a square ball, Noel. I know you were at the far side, so impossible to say, but decisions like that can win or lose matches.
Well, it's decisions like that, yes, it's all on the day. You get the rub of the green some days, other days you don't get it. This bunch of lads, as I said, we had never won before. We were in the under-12 quarter-final, under-14 semi-final, under-16 final, always beaten. So I think they needed a little bit of luck, and on the day they got it.
Yeah, well, 3 minor championships in a row now for St Eunan's, and we saw St Eunan's here a couple of weeks ago in the senior semi-final with a number of those players, a number of under-21s. I mean, we've said it before, it augurs well for St Eunan's, but unfortunately in the past, the seniors haven't come through with the talent that obviously is there.
The talent is there. Our big problem is to keep them in the town, because the lads are going to go off to school, they're going to go off to work, and as a club we're going to have to try to do something to hold that squad together. Not just the minors of the last 4 years have to be kept together as a squad to progress to senior. Like, we're a very, very young senior team this year, inexperienced, and there was 4 of the minors on the senior team. Paul O'Dowd, Kevin Winston, Shane O'Donnell and David McGinley. And that'll do them the power of good, and if we can hold the squad together, you'll hear more of St Eunan's in the future.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Like, it's building from minor, and it's taken a while, but we'll be there.
Yeah, well, finally, a long time to wait for a championship from under 12, Noel, but I'm sure well worth it in the end.
I'm delighted. I'm more than delighted, because I just couldn't wait for the game to finish and us in the lead. It means an awful lot to me, but more particularly for the lads who I've been training, I've been looking after for the last, as I said, 6 years.
Well done. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
Noel Cassidy there, one of the team mentors and managers of the St Eunan's minor team. They won 2-12 to 112, 2-12 to 112 by 3 points. 2 points between them. We'll take a short break, and Miles will update you on the golf news and, of course, on the rest of the sporting action today. And we'll have an update from Martin Holmes and Brian Wright as well. You'll be back for the second half here in McCumhaill Park. Haven't heard anything. Yeah, Miles just about to start. The band from Donegal Town have entertained us at half-time, making their way off. We don't see any changes at this particular stage, but as we mentioned, and we can confirm, Glasgow Celtic defender Declan Boyle is among the substitutes for Killybegs here this afternoon, and I'm sure he won't be taken over without being introduced, but it looks as if it's the same 15s, just trying to check around the pitch. Don't appear to be any changes this particular stage. And now the game is on. The second half, Austin Wallace throws the ball in. Barry Cunningham, who's been one of the better fielders of the ball. There hasn't been too many clean catches, but he's a man who's certainly been effective in that regard. Noel Hegarty looks to me as if he's hurt his knee right at the start of this game. He looks in a lot of trouble out there. He was tackling Barry Cunningham. He fouled the Killybegs man and fell awkwardly on his knee, and he certainly looks to me to be in a lot of trouble, and that would be a big blow to Killybegs if he was to, or excuse me, to Neath Columba if he was to go off. And there's frantic efforts to get him right. Michael McNeilis, the team manager, is out there. Noel Hegarty looks as if he's really in trouble with that knee. He's trying to get onto his feet as quickly as he can to keep moving on it. He's a hardy boy, is Noel Hegarty, but the left knee, and he's just going to try and run it off. But certainly it looks to me as if he's in a bit of trouble with it. John Van Goller trying to get away from him. Jimmy White looking for John Van. Noel Hegarty trying to run it off, but in a standing position now, and he looks in a bit of trouble. Anyway, the ball's knocked forward, and Manus Boyle will get onto it inside the 14-metre line, but in a very acute angle, trying to get around John Joe Doherty, and he'll know from his training days with Donegal that's not too easy. Paul Callahan drops that ball in very dangerously, and there's players in the well, I just wonder how that was actually wide, because it's a 45. Dennis McGrenra, after initially awarding a wide ball, somewhat surprisingly, but the Terman man's got it right at the second attempt, and it's going to be a 45-metre free to Killybegs. Certainly the goalkeeper knocked that ball down. Conor White coming short for Manus Boyle, but Paddy Cunningham was right there with him. A minute gone, just over a minute gone in the second half, and Manus Boyle has this ball placed on the 45-metre line. Paddy Hegarty running across him. The ball dropped dangerously in, but it's fielded by John Joe Doherty. He fists the ball out to the far side here. Conal Gavigan will come on to it. Gavigan, toe to hand inside his own 14-metre line, fouled by John Van Gallagher. The two number 9s colliding. Quick free taken, comes to Ewan McIntyre. Back to John Joe Doherty. John Joe in to Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty seems to have run off that injury. Sweeps the ball out to the far side, looking for Georgie Doherty and finding him. Paddy Cunningham's there as well. Paddy Hegarty coming to take it. Neath Columba continuing to play this short football. John Cunningham knocks the ball out of Paddy Hegarty's hands, and John Cunningham's fouled. Takes the ball quickly. That was a good tackle. Manus Boyle has possession now out on the far side. John Joe Doherty's right there with him again. Manus Boyle knocks the ball into John Van Gallagher. John Van in a bit of space, but well, he's still got a bit of space. Gives the ball into Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle on the... Well, he was fouled and he wants to take it quickly. Mark Boyle shoots, hits a post. Well, he went for the goal there, and it was a good effort by Mark Boyle, but perhaps he would have been better to take the score at this particular stage. But he's got possession again and he gives it in now. There's another chance for Conor White, and Conor White puts the ball over the bar. Killybegs took a long time to do it there, Michael. It would have been a tremendous goal had he have scored it, Mark Boyle. Unlucky to hit the post, but perhaps this early in the second half better to take his chance.
Yeah, well, that's so, but I mean the temptation was there, and with the gaping hole in front of him, it shows how quickly Boyle thinks there, because the backs were still kind of looking around them to see why the foul was taken when he had it already taken. Hit the corner there. Neath Columba very fortunate there to get away with just the point.
Just over 2.5 minutes gone in the second half. Neath Columba 4 points, Killybegs 3 points. It's a low scoring, but it's a good, competitive, exciting game. The kick-out's taken again. Up comes Barry Cunningham with the ball again, having a very good game. Knocks it forward, looking for Manus Boyle. Manus Boyle gives it to Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle on the run, very speedy on his left foot. Shoots again, and a very good score by Mark Boyle, who had a very good game in the semi-final against Rua. And now he's beginning to find his pace here. His brother Declan is patrolling the far sideline. Tracksuit bottoms on. I see him with his fists clenched, and the opening 2 points of the second half coming in the direction of the Ballybofey goals, and that means that Killybegs have scored both of them, and the sides are now level. A little bit of a breeze blowing, the kick out taken, but Paul Callahan was onto that quickly, fields the ball very well. Killybegs have upped the tempo. Clipper Gallagher trying to get inside, and Paul Callahan steps inside. Noel Hegarty's with him now. He's got a bit of space to shoot. Paul Callahan shoots. That one's going to drift over the bar for another fine score for Killybegs. 3 points in a row in the opening 4 minutes of the second half. Conor White from play, Mark Boyle from play, and now Paul Callahan with his first point, and Killybegs from 4-2 down have gone into a 5-4 lead. Michael, they've upped the tempo here.
They have indeed, and it's a great time to up to just at the beginning of the second half. Neath Columba have been, as it were, haven't been given an opportunity to get into the stride that they were in at the end of the first half there, and they'll need to very quickly come to grips with it, particularly with young Boyle here, who's creating problems on there.
Boyle's on in possession again, and he's got Barry Cunningham running forward off him, but he was being fouled from a long way back. The referee was trying to use the advantage. Mark Boyle showing the ball to Paddy Hegarty. No need for that at all. Awarded the free. And the Manus boy now looking for space inside him, or will he go for the shot? Michael McNeilson having a quick word there with Paddy Hegarty. Manus boy from the 45-metre line, plenty of height, plenty of distance, and tremendous accuracy there from Manus boy. Hasn't hesitated when he's had an opportunity here today, and didn't hesitate on that occasion. Back in at full forward with Conor Flipper Dollar out to centre half. Killybegs 4 points in a row. 3 from play, 1 from the free, and that one from the hands by Manus Boyle, and the breeze becoming a little bit of a factor now. It's certainly lifted a little bit since the start of the match, and it's in the favour of Killybegs, who are attacking the Ballybofey end. Columba need a score. They need to get back into this game. Paul Callahan going for this one. He misjudged it completely, but he'll get it at the second attempt. It came off someone's boot. Callahan's been forced back the way. 3 Columba men with him, but he's done very well. He thought about the pass to Barry McGurran, but he held up possession very well. Knocks the ball inside. John Joe misjudged that one, but Paddy Cunningham comes across, taking a long time to get it up, but he finally gets it up. He thought about the pass, but John Joe was going to be covered. Paddy Cunningham now fists the ball out to the far side to Ewan McIntyre. Ewan McIntyre being tackled out there by Paul Murn, fouled by Paul Murn. It's going to be a free. Noel McGinley wants it taken quickly, knocks it up along the line, looking for Paul O'Donnell. Good tackle on that far side by Francis Murray. He's had a good game today. Jimmy White's there. Jimmy White was fouled, and it's going to be a free in for Killybegs from the 45-metre line, and just about a yard in from the far sideline. Francis Murray throws it out to his player manager, Jimmy White, the experienced Jimmy. Great service to the Killybegs club as a player, as a manager, and continuing to give great service. This is Conor White, gives the ball forward here to John Cunningham, bursting forward up to the 21. He's been tackled. John Cunningham still going, seemed to double hot the ball, but he's still going, the ball dangerously in. John Joe, well, took 2 or 3 attempts to get it up, fouled by Manus Boyle, and a free out. But John Cunningham perhaps should have shot a bit quicker, complaining to the referee, but well, don't think he had much of a case there really. John had an opportunity and wanted to get closer to goals to make sure. John Joe takes it, gives it out to Ewan McIntyre. He's tackled by Manus Boyle. Gives the ball out to Georgie Doherty. Georgie Doherty gives it inside to John Joe Doherty. John Joe bursting forward, pushes Barry Cunningham out of his way. Deceptively strong as John Joe Doherty, still going. Tackled by Barry Cunningham. Didn't like the tackle by Barry Cunningham, and showed his annoyance by driving into Barry Cunningham. And now the referee, Austin Wallace, is going to take some action, and I think he's going to call both players over to him. 2 experienced campaigners, Barry Cunningham and John Joe Doherty. Well, in fact, it's Barry Cunningham who's going to be spoken to, and John Joe didn't like the type of the tackle, and let it be known that he didn't.
He didn't make any secret of it that he didn't like it there, and one could commiserate him with there, because he was after shipping about 4 or 5 tackles before that. How he got through them I don't know, but that one in particular seemed to really annoy him.
Well, Barry Cunningham, I'm not sure if he was booked or whether he got a severe warning, but certainly the referee taking notice of him and giving notice to him. Noel Hegarty trying to burst his way through, surrounded by Killybegs men, knocks the ball forward, comes off the referee and came back to Noel Hegarty, but referee Austin Wallace will have to throw that ball up. Noel Hegarty hangs his head in disappointment. His side are 2 points behind.
Columba want to score and they want it quickly.
Absolutely, but John Bangara gets that, gives it back to Barry McGowan. Barry McGowan trying to find space, knocks the ball neatly out to Barry Cunningham. Barry Cunningham left-footed forward, looking for Paul Murn. Paul Murn gets it. He's got Conor White moving inside him. This is Flipper, Conor Flipper Gallagher. A shot and a great score from Conor Flipper Gallagher. Killybegs have certainly found their shooting boots in the second half. That was from a very acute angle for a right-footed player from that far side near the seated area, but he found the target, and Hughie McGarvey, the umpire from Falcara, watched it all the way, dropped between the posts and over the bar. Kevin Doherty anxious to get on with it. We've had 5 second half points from Killybegs without reply from Columba. They're losing out at midfield. John Ban and Barry Cunningham particularly are taking command there. John Ban going for this one, up and knocks the ball down. Who'll get the wrecking ball? Conor Flipper got her tackled and fouled by Paddy Hegarty. It's all Killybegs in midfield at the moment. The referee wants that taken back a little bit. And Killybegs are crowding out the midfield with their big men. Flippers in helping Barry Cunningham and John Van Gallagher, Barry McGowan, John Cunningham also adding their weight there. That's a lot of big men around that area. Jimmy White kicks this ball long and high and hard, and Conor watching it, and it bounces over the bar. Jimmy White will be credited with that one, because certainly it didn't appear to me as if anybody else got a touch to it. Perhaps an indication of the strength of whatever breeze is blowing. It doesn't look to be much, but certainly the flags on the far side would indicate that it is quite a breeze now in the second half. John Joe Doherty appealing to his players to get back into the game. The Neath Columba captain is Noel Hegarty. He picked up a knock right at the start of the second half, and it certainly looks to me as if it has affected him. We've seen 6 points. They've all come from the red, the men in red. Up they go again. The Brecon ball, well, it didn't break this time because Conal Gavin got his hands to it, but Francis Murray's had a super game and he fly kicks the ball away, looking for Conor Flipper Gallagher. The Brecon ball comes to Manus. Killybegs are getting them all and Flipper's away again. Lovely pass from Manus Boyle. Flipper's inside, gives it into Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle has it. He goes to ground. The referee says play on. He gives the ball out to Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan attempted fly kick and the ball goes wide. And again, the defence was open. A very good left-fisted pass by Manus Boyle opened them up, but came to nothing. Here comes Georgie Doherty. Neath Columba anxious to get on with it quickly. They're 4 points behind. 8-4 into Paddy Hegarty. Paddy Cunningham, gives it into Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty knocks the ball forward. A lovely release of the ball, and Jared Cannon now, and now's a chance for Neath Columba. Jared Cannon bursting forward. He's up the 21-metre line. He shoots. And the man who took a much more difficult opportunity in the first half kicks that one wide, and Michael, at this stage they can't afford those types of mistakes. At this stage those things have all to be availed of there, and if he had an opportunity earlier on of passing the ball into one of the corner forwards who were lying loose inside, and it maybe is an indication of how the game is getting to them there. In the first half they were seeing these openings. This half they haven't seen them so far, and time again Killybegs have latched on to misplaced balls. Ian Cunningham's kick out coming short of midfield again. Up goes John Band, but the hands grab and the hands belong to Barry Cunningham. Barry Cunningham's fouled. He's got a man outside him. He tried to find Barry McGowan, but the referee says that he was being fouled, and I think Noel Hegarty's complaining, but I don't think he's much room for complaint. Barry Cunningham was still being tackled. It would be better to get on with the game, just as here we have Barry McGowan. Barry McGowan going forward. Jared Cannon with him. McGowan thought about the shot, but he's holding on to possession. And he's got a man free outside and is pointed in the direction of Manus Boyle. Manus Boyle coming up the 14-metre line. There could be a goal here. Well blocked, a brilliant block by Ewan McIntyre. Manus had time to take a score. Perhaps he had goal on his mind, but good play there by the cornerback. Gives it to Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty sells a lovely dummy. Manus Boyle trying to close him down. Noel Hegarty still going forward. Manus is still after him. John Cunningham tries to get him. This is brilliant play by Noel Hegarty. One of his big long runs. We've seen him so often. John Band's with him, but Noel Hegarty still going. He gives it inside now to Paddy Hegarty. There could be a goal on. Here there's a chance for Paul O'Donnell. Paul O'Donnell blasts the ball into the net. A brilliant move and a brilliant run, and what a brilliant score, and that'll bring Neath Columba right back into it. But Michael, we have to put that down to Noel Hegarty. Certainly, these are the kind of runs he did for Donegal, coming from nowhere and taking them on one after another and leaving them sprawled on the ground behind him, and that's what he actually did here. And again, it was a quick movement of the ball, and this time they did pick up the forward on the inside there, Paul O'Donnell, and O'Donnell made no mistake. Noel Hegarty to Paddy Hegarty into Paul O'Donnell, and from outside the small parallelogram he blasted the ball into the roof of the net. Ian Cunningham, who's made 2 great saves in the first half, absolutely no chance. There's a point between them, just what the game needed, just what the doctor ordered if you're neutral here. Up goes the ball again, is fisted down. Now the Brecon ball, now Glen will lift their game. Georgie Doherty was held from behind. Now Glen have won a couple of balls around midfield. This is Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham's attempted pass was blocked, but he was lucky to get possession back. He gives the ball back to Desi Cunningham. Desi Cunningham into Noel Hegarty. A great run from Noel Hegarty. Noel Hegarty now coming across the pitch, faced by Mark Boyle, trying to force his way past Mark Boyle with the leading arm, but he's been forced sideways. He gives it into Noel McGinley. Noel McGinley going forward now up to the 45-metre line. Noel McGinley shoots, and that's into the keeper's hands. Barry McGowan wants possession, but the ball instead is knocked out to the far side to Conor White. Good clearance by the goalkeeper. Mark Boyle's in a bit of space. Jimmy White inside his brother Conor gets it back and gives it to Conor again. Conor steps inside. Jimmy's with him again. This is good play for the Conor and Jimmy White, the White brothers. Gives it forward to Mark Boyle, but Jimmy gets the ball himself. In fact, Jimmy now's got support inside him. Paul Callahan coming across. There's a lot of tough marking. The ball's knocked forward to Mark Boyle in a wide position. He's inside the 14-metre line, but he needs to cut inside. Manus Boyle's on his own in the 21-metre line. He's on the left foot. Manus Boyle shoots, and that's a great shot, but just wide. Well, I thought it was going to drift too wide. Manus Boyle having a word there with the referee. I think Manus thought that was over the bar, Michael. So did I for a moment. Everybody did, and you know, we're not accustomed to Manus missing from that type of range there. You're nearly inclined to start marking it once you see him lining himself up at all there. But fortunately for Glen and unfortunately for Killybegs, that one was on the outside of the post. Dennis McGrenra out having a word with Manus Boyle to reassure him that that ball was wide. Manus acknowledges that fact. Here comes Kevin Doherty. Tension, nerves, everything you expect in a final. There's only a point between them. A goal has brought Neath Columba right back into it. Killybegs will need to lift their game. The ball's knocked in. John Joe got out ahead of Manus, but he didn't take it. But Noel Hegarty's back on his 21-metre line. What a workhorse this man is. What a great footballer, Noel Hegarty, but that's a very poor ball. Perhaps, well, John Cunningham fouled Paddy Hegarty when there was no need for it, right in the middle of the pitch, and John not too happy about that with his hands out, but I think by the expression on his face he knew exactly what he did, and he'd done the wrong thing. Barry McGowan does very well, knocks the ball brilliantly inside, but he was fouled in any case. John Band thought about taking it, but Barry McGowan's going to take it himself. Barry having a quiet game by his standards, but as I said earlier on, perhaps carrying an injury into this game. Gets the ball back from John Cunningham, gives it to John Band, almost lost it there to Cunningham, very lucky to get it back. John Cunningham has it. He's got Trevor McNairn outside him, gives it to McNairn. McNairn gives it forward to Jimmy White. Nice play by Killybegs. Nice ball in, low to Manus Boyd. Takes it brilliantly, low down. Manus Boyd trying to force his way forward, tackled by 2 or 3 men. Gives it back to Barry Cunningham, gives it to Paul Callahan. Barry Cunningham went on the run again. Paul Callahan shot himself. That one's going to just go to the left and wide. Well, the referee says it's wide. They were appealing for a 45-metre line, a 45-metre free, but Austin Wallace was close to the action and immediately raised his hands.
A player is having a big influence out there is Jimmy White with his cool experience there. He's cooling things down, he's slowing things down, and he's giving Manus Boyle the type of service that Manus can thrive on.
Noel Hegarty coming deep to take the kick out again in his hands, pushes Paul Feetmore out of his way. Strong man Noel Hegarty, doesn't look it, but he certainly is. Misjudged by Paul Gillespie, hasn't been a factor in the second half. This is Barry McGowan. Barry McGowan surrounded by 4 Neath Columba men looking for support. He's got us from Peter McGinley. Peter McGinley gives it to Jimmy White in possession again. Jimmy, toe to hands inside, gives the ball in. That's a poor ball by Jimmy White. Now there could be danger because Paul Gillespie's onto the ball. Paul Gillespie going forward. Paul Gillespie shoots and Paul Gillespie puts the ball over the bar. Jimmy White holds his head in his hands. It was a very poor pass by Jimmy White. There was no need for it. He should have cleared the ball up the pitch. But anyway, Neath Columba taking full advantage. The sides are now level. So after being out of it at the start of the second half, the men from Glen, as we've seen them do so often, have come back into it. A goal by Paul O'Donnell, a point by Paul Gillespie, his 4th, and now Michael, it's anyone's.
It ties us all up for grabs, and I think it's fitting that Paul Gillespie should be demanded to put them right back in there on level terms with that point.
A little pulling and hauling going on, but the ball comes out and 2 men miss it, and John Band gives it into Conor White. Conor White looking for support. Conor's a man who's suffered a lot from injuries over the last couple of years as well. He gives it back to John Van Gallagher. John Van trying to force his way forward, gives the ball to Flipper. Flipper gives it in there to Barry Cunningham, but he's beaten. Neath Columba now are tackling and tackling quickly and tackling hard and tackling in numbers. Noel Hegarty, he's seen more of the ball than anyone, kicks it forward. This is Seamus Carr. We haven't seen too much of him, but he has possession now and he's got a man running forward of him. Tackled by Barry McGowan. McGowan holding him up, but he gives it to Jared Cannon. Jared Cannon on the 45-metre line, fists the ball into Paul Gillespie. Paul Gillespie fists the ball to Jared Cannon. There's a chance for Jared Cannon, but Jared Cannon kicks the ball wide from a great position inside the 21-metre line.
If they had to even keep going there, he could have ran the whole way into the back of the net with it, because there was nobody between him and the back of the net, only just the goalkeeper, and that could be a vital, a crucial.
You can't afford misses like that in a county final if you're going to win it. Well, their sides are level, so perhaps in the end it won't matter, but a couple of opportunities for Jared Cannon in the second half, and they haven't really come off. John Cunningham grabs the ball. Paddy Hegarty grabs him and grabs him to the ground and holds him down on the ground, and John Cunningham not too happy about it, and the referee now is going to book Paddy Hegarty, and I think Paddy, well, can have no argument really, because he knew what he did and he knew what he was doing, and down John Cunningham stayed.
The thing about it, it's obvious that both sets of forwards have the beating of the respective backs there, and it's only a question of who's going to be on top in that last 5 minutes.
Well, the referee says bring it forward. Jimmy White's already done that. We've gone over 18 minutes. This is Jimmy White again, taking the ball back from John Cunningham, chipping it forward, looking for Manus Boyd. A poor ball by Jimmy. John Joe Doherty in control, close to his own end line. Halfway between the sideline and his post. Sails a dummy or two. He's got Georgie Doherty outside him, but John Joe making sure that he finds the man. Gives it forward to Jared Cannon. Jared Cannon, well, he got it at the second attempt. Gives it into Desi Cunningham. Desi Cunningham has Noel Hegarty in a bit of space. This is danger for Killybegs. If this man's in space, there's danger. Driving forward, Noel Hegarty again. Knocks it into the corner, looking for his brother Paddy. Paddy's gone to full forward. Peter McGinley's right there with him. Paul Gillespie's out at centre half. Paddy Hegarty's so dangerous when he gets on the move. Noel McGinley Noel McGinley coming across, gives it into Pádraig Gillespie, took his eye off it and lost possession, and Jimmy White will pick it up. Jimmy won't attempt a fist pass this time, gives it out to his brother Conor. It was a good pass out of defence. Conor White loses possession but gets it back again. He's been well tackled, he loses possession again, gets it back again, gives it to John Ban. John Ban has no support to his left, goes to the right instead. Trevor McNairn's calling for it, but John Ban does well and drives forward now, looking for support again, knocks it into the corner, looking for Manus Boyle. Not the greatest pass in the world. Manus will do well to get this one. He gets it, but there's no man inside the 14-metre line. Flipper's gone out there to help him. Manus trying to get round John Joney. He succeeds in getting round him. He's onto his left foot and he shoots and puts the ball wide. Manus forceful there, getting round John Joe Doherty. John Joe not too happy that he let him inside him, but in any case Manus kicked the ball wide. Remarkably, Noel Hegarty allows the ball intelligently to go outside the 21-metre line before he touches it. Noel Hegarty tackled and fouled by Conor White on the 45-metre line, takes it quickly up into Conal Cunningham. Jared Cannon's away again. There was a late challenge there, but the referee plays a good advantage. The ball's knocked into Paddy Hegarty. Paddy Hegarty on the ground, seemed to pick it off the ground, but the referee says he has been held, and now there's going to be some treatment required. I think it's for...
Actually, that injury picked up there was for a late challenge after the ball had been released, and the referee was in the position there where he could either go on for the foul or given the advantage rule. He gave the advantage rule in that particular case.
Yeah, well, it was a good advantage with the linesman Peter Hughes and drawing something to his attention, perhaps the fact that it was a late tackle, but I think Austin Wallace had that covered in any case, and he did the right thing, allowing play to go on. Interestingly, as well as Conal Cunningham, who was the recipient of that late tackle, Noel Hegarty is down on the ground as well, perhaps feeling the effect of that knee injury he picked up at the start of the second half.
When one considers the amount of ground that he has travelled, that he has covered here today, one couldn't blame him for taking a blow if he gets an opportunity to do it.
Well, Conal Cunningham gingerly getting back to his feet again. Play will resume with a free for Niamh Columba about 40 metres out. Paddy Big Gillespie's in there on the far side, offering some advice to John Joe Doherty. I'm sure it's good, sensible advice. That
a lot of years of experience there.
Absolutely. The sides are level. Niamh Columba 1-5, Killybegs 8 points. At half time it was Niamh Columba 4 points, Killybegs 2 points. Then Killybegs scored 6 in a row. Conor White, Mark Boyle, Paul Callahan, Manus Boyle, Flipper Gallagher and Jimmy White all scoring 6 points. Noel Hegarty's free, dropping dangerously in. Goalkeeper Ian Cunningham, who's had an excellent game. He's under pressure and he's fouled. Those 6 points in a row left them leading by 8 points to 4. A goal then by Paul O'Donnell, a point followed that from Pádraig Gillespie, and the sides are level. Barry Cunningham picks up possession. In fact, it's John Cunningham. He gives it out to Mark Boyle, close to the dugouts. Mark Boyle trying to go round McGinley, knocks the ball into Trevor McNairn. Trevor McNairn gives the ball back. Killybegs taking far too long to get the ball forward. This is Barry McGowan. Barry McGowan has John Van Goller completely free, but he hasn't seen him. Has Jimmy White seen him? Jimmy White, no, instead goes out the other way to Conor White, but it wasn't a good ball. Paddy Cunningham got a hand to it, and it's going to be a sideline ball. In fact, it's not a sideline ball. The linesman hasn't raised his flag. The ball's fisted in there to Pádraig Gillespie, deep inside his own half. Noel Hegarty on the drive again. Noel Hegarty plays a long ball looking for Paddy Hegarty. Noel McGinley's there, or Peter McGinley I should say. The goalkeeper Ian Cunningham comes all the way out in a good interception. Well held up, I'd have to say, by Peter McGinley as well, was Paddy Hegarty. The ball knocked forward again now. John Cunningham has it. Nice flowing football by both teams, end-to-end stuff. John Cunningham coming forward again. John Band's with him. He gives it forward to Mark Boyle. It wasn't a good pass, and Noel McGinley does very well, but John Band came onto it, but it's picked up by Dessie Cunningham. Dessie Cunningham's fouled, takes the free quickly again. Both sides anxious to get on with it. This is Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham gives it inside to Conal Gavigan. Gavigan out to the far side to Georgie Doherty. Georgie Doherty quickly forward, but over the sideline, and it's going to be a sideline ball to Killybegs. And interestingly, no substitutions used, Michael. Well, have I spoken too soon? There's a sub coming into the Niamh Columba team now, and I think there's a sub warming up on the far side for Killybegs as well. Declan Boyle with number 21 is not in the actions yet. I'm not quite sure who the Niamh Columba substitute is. I have a feeling it's Georgie Doherty. I'll confirm that in a moment or two for you. The ball's knocked forward, brilliantly fielded there by Noel McGinley. McGinley fisted pass forward. Flipper Gallagher trying to get onto it, and he'll get there first. Good play by Flipper. He's got Barry McGowan inside him, but he takes the route back the ways. But now he gives it back to McGowan. John Ban Gallagher's inside him, fisted inside, or booted inside, should I say, to John Ban. John Ban on the move, looking for support, but not much support around him at the moment. But strong in possession is John Ban, but he's running into cul-de-sacs there. He fists the ball to the far side, but it wasn't a good tackle, and John Cunningham forced to commit the foul. Has a strong word there with one of his players. Barry McGowan intercepts the ball as it went forward. The ball's knocked out. It is Georgie Doherty, by the way, number 16, who are in the Naomh Columba side. Here comes Mark Boyle inside the 45-metre line. Well, he wanted to cut inside too early. Noel McGinley holds him up, and it's going to be a free. And Manus Boyle looks as if he's going to come out to take this one. Substitute now coming into the Killybegs side.
The great thing about this match is that there's no time being wasted at all. Once a free is awarded, it's taken immediately, so there's no time for standing and arguing and disputing or anything at all like that.
Well, we're just wondering who's going off the Killybegs team. I think it's it looks as if it's Conor White who's going off, and I'm just going to check as to who's coming in here at the moment. It's number 17, Eamon Clancy, a man that we're not familiar with. Manus Boyle takes the free and scores a beautiful point from way out there on the right hand side. The third point of the game for Manus Boyle, and he scored a couple of great frees from the hands. Super play there. Killybegs go into a 1-point lead again. Declan Boyle doesn't look as if he's going to play a part in this game, because we've gone 25 minutes into the game now. 5 minutes to go. The quick free taken out to Ewan McIntyre. Back to John Joe Doherty. Naomh Columba need a score. They're a point behind. Killybegs 9, Naomh Columba 1-5. John Joe fouled there by Flipper. John Joe, whose wedding invitations are out. We were told that last week in Chicago, of course, by Padraig Carr, who was delighted to receive one of them. Barry Cunningham finds Barry, or found by Barry McGowan. Trevor McNairn kicks the ball away, and then he fouls his man, and the young man, Manus Boyle, has a quick word with him. You can't afford to give away possession in this match. This is Seamus Carr. Seamus Carr pulled to the ground by Barry McGowan outside the 45-metre line. No one wants to give an inch at this particular stage. The ball kicked forward. Paul O'Donnell trying to get onto it. Francis Murray's right there with him. Francis Murray's had a super game this afternoon. Hasn't missed a thing. This is Paul Callaghan. Paul Callaghan pushed into the sideline, but that's a foul. And it's going to be a free out. Austin Wallace telling them to hold possession. I'm not exactly sure why. Is there another substitute coming on? I'm not exactly sure what's happening. Francis Murray's having a word with the referee. I'm just looking around to check what exactly is going on here. Well, I can't figure out why this is delayed, but anyway, the game's on. Oh, in fact, it is number 21. It is Declan Boyle who's in the Killybegs side. Well, he is going to play his part, and he's in possession again, but he drops it. It seemed to be touched on the ground there, but Declan Boyle's back again, and now the use of the boot, and Declan Boyle's on the ground, and now there's a little bit of silly stuff, really. John Cunningham getting involved there where he was no need to, with Paddy Hegarty. Noel Hegarty reacted to that, and all uncalled for, really. Declan Boyle.
First little flare up we've seen.
Yeah, well, no need for it. All a bit silly, but anyway, it settled down quickly again. And here comes John Band. John Band, well, he's looking for support. He hasn't got much. This is Jimmy White. Jimmy White kicks the ball forward. Long ball looking for Manus. John Joe's right there, but Andrew Clancy has it. Clancy, number 17, decides to shoot himself and puts the ball just wide. And Manus, I think, not be too happy about that. He fancied that one. I can't figure out who's gone off the Killybegs. Conor White's definitely one of the players who's gone off the Killybegs team, but I'm not just sure who the other one is at this particular stage. In any case, it could be Trevor McNairn is still there, in fact. Declan Boyle is playing in the forward line, so we'll check that out in a moment or two. Out comes the ball, knocked down, and it's Eamon Clancy again. Clancy trying to find his way around 2 or 3 players. The referee says he overheld the ball, and just a point between them, and we've moved about 2.5 minutes from the end, but there will be injury time. This is John Joe Doherty coming forward. Eamon Clancy trying to close them down, and John Joe not happy about that either. And let's hope now, let's just hope that tempers don't get out of hand. It's been good so far. Referee Wallace done a good job, over quickly onto the scene. Linesman Peter Hughes was in quickly there as well. Hopefully they won't start to get into that sort of situation. It's been a good, clean, hard championship game so far. This is Paul Callaghan. Paul Callaghan thought about the pass forward to John Cunningham, gives it back to Barry McGowan. Barry McGowan needs support. He's right in his own corner. He's got John Cunningham with him. He's trying to force his way out, and using his experience, he's thrown to the ground. Kemper's just, well, on edge at the moment, I suppose is the best way to describe it.
Well, with so much at stake and just a few minutes left, just a point between them, in a tightly contested game, you can expect this type of thing.
Barry Cunningham gives it out to Barry McGowan gives it out to John Cunningham. John Cunningham loses possession, and Seamus Carr has it. Seamus Carr was fouled. Seamus Carr takes it quickly, gives it to Paddy Hegarty. Paddy Hegarty cutting inside Barry McGowan. Held up by Barry McGowan. The ball's on the ground. Paddy Hegarty seemed to touch it on the ground. The referee says play on. Barry Cunningham took a late tackle there. John Cunningham loses possession. Jared Cannon has it. Jared Cannon now will play the ball across. Well, that's dangerously across now. The breaking ball will be very dangerous. Francis Murray trying to get there ahead of Corey Gillespie, and Murray's had a super game. Playing at cornerback, wearing number 7, kicks the ball clear. Good play by him up along the sideline and out over the sideline. And a Killybegs man, well, rather unsportingly knocks the ball into.
That's the type of thing there now, like that I think should be dealt with, and dealt with severely. A substitute like that coming off the bench and punching the ball up into the crowd.
Well, another substitute coming in for Neath Columba, this time number 23 on his back. Noel Carr is listed at number 23. Could be Noel Carr, doesn't look like Noel Carr to me, but in any case, number 23 is on. John Joe wants to take it. We've moved inside injury time, and there's a point between them. Noel Hegarty's been fouled out there. Are we going to see a draw? Noel Hegarty kicks the ball forward. John Cunningham watches that one and grabs possession. He's grabbed by Paddy Hegarty. He won't mind that. He didn't hear the whistle, but in any case, it's a free out.
John Cunningham's had a very good game there, centre half back. We felt that Paddy Hegarty maybe would be too much for him, but definitely has proved us wrong.
Jimmy White, the player manager, will be delighted to take Killybegs to a championship if they can manage to hold on. There seemed to be a foul there, but the referee says play on. Desi Cunningham comes across, Conor Flipper. Gallagher was holding at him, and the referee spots it very well. It's going to be a free. We've moved inside injury time. There will be a bit of injury time for a couple of stoppages, of course, particularly that one to Noel Hegarty, but a very bad free, and now there's a chance. Manus Boyle's on the run. He's got a substitute inside him. He gives it in to Declan Boyle. Declan Boyle with a chance, and he puts it over the bar. And a 2-point lead. Declan Boyle, well, the substitute, the Glasgow Celtic man, had the chance there to get a bit of glory with a goal, but he didn't get the glory. Manus Boyle won't allow the kick out to be taken quickly, but it is taken quickly in any case to Ewan McIntyre. Ewan McIntyre gives it into John Joe Doherty. Neath Columba now need a goal because they're 2 points behind. Here comes Noel Hegarty, another drive and run from him. John Van Gallagher's after him. Declan Boyle's there as well. He gives it forward to Conal Gavigan. Conal Gavigan's got a man outside him. Well, they're chasing them everywhere here. Paddy Hegarty wants to take it. He's not been allowed to take it. John Cunningham. Paddy Hegarty boots the ball in the direction. Noel Hegarty now remonstrating with the referee. Paddy Hegarty remonstrating with the referee. John Cunningham in there having his word as well.
All referees
at this particular stage. Well, it's the end result's going to be a free for a foul on Paddy Hegarty.
It has to be a goal if Neath Columba are to clinch this one.
Yes, we're almost 2 minutes into injury time. The ball's in. Corey Gillespie has it, but he loses it, and John Van Gallagher now gives it to Barry McGowan. The steadying influence in defence. Barry McGowan, nice play of the ball out there to Clancy. Clancy gives it to Barry Cunningham. Thought about the long ball forward, gives it into Clancy. Nice ball back. Noel Hegarty hit him late, but the referee allows play to go on. That is going to be a sideline ball. Paddy Cunningham into Noel Hegarty. Up forward to Seamus Carr. Could we have a last dramatic goal? Seamus Carr being chased by Paul Callahan. Barry McGowan's there as well. Seamus Carr still going. Barry McGowan holding him up. The ball's inside to Paddy Hegarty. He flicks it inside. There's a chance, and it goes over the bar from Gregory Doherty. Well, there was a chance of a goal. I think, Michael, if that had been under the bar, there was no chance for the goalkeeper.
No, not a hope at all. It's just one of those things. If it had been 3 inches lower, the cup could have been heading for the Glen.
A beautiful, intelligent ball in by Seamus Carr, and even more intelligent overhead flick by Paddy Hegarty. I think the defence expected him to catch it. He just flicked it over his head. Gregory Doherty got it. He shot in one split second, half a second. You can't blame him, but if it had been 3 inches lower, it would have been resting in the net. The kick-out's taken, and there goes the final whistle, and Killybegs have won the senior championship, and they've won it by 1 point. What an exciting finish. 10 points to Killybegs, 1-6 to Neath Columba, and great scenes of celebration here in the Neath Columba men, beaten for the 2nd year in a row. Very disappointed to have lost, but really you can't blame the effort that he put in here. A tremendous effort from them, and certainly Killybegs coming back after a couple of barren years. Great scenes of joy for them and their player manager Jimmy White. Disappointment obviously for Neath Columba, but one cannot criticise him. It was an exciting county final. 2 committed sides played very, very good football. We'll be back here at McCumhaill Park for some reaction after this break.
Thanks very much. A 1 point victory for Killybegs. I'm joined by Columbus Porrick Gillespie, who scored 4 points out there, Porrick. I suppose we always knew this one was going to be close, Porrick, and in the end, Killybegs just edging you out. Georgie Doherty almost snatched it there with that late effort.
Yeah, we knew it was going to go down to the wire or whatever. Killybegs are a class team, the county experience. We knew we needed everybody going well, and unfortunately we didn't get everybody going well. And that. We nearly snatched it in the end, but in all fairness, going into the second half, we knew the first 10 minutes were very important. Killybegs got, I think it was 4 points right to play. Coming from that then, it was hard to come back. Killybegs were never going to let us come back after that.
6 points in a row they got, in fact. So that made the difference. You were 4-2 up, suddenly you were 8-4 down. You were always chasing the game after that, Porrick.
Well, it shows the firepower Killybegs have. We needed Paddy Haggerty going well. And unfortunately, Paddy, Lee had been bothering him, and he wasn't quite 100%. Like, Glenn are going to one inning, they need both Haggerty's flying.
Absolutely. Having said that, I mean, you conjured up a magnificent goal. Noel Haggerty took it from his own 45, found Paddy into Paul O'Donnell, and then you were level a few minutes later. At that stage, it was there for the taking.
It was there for the taking, and I'm afraid the midfield of Killybegs won it. They just dominated there for the last 10 minutes or so. They kept the ball, couldn't get it off them.
Yeah.
The scraps we were playing for, really, and like, they knocked the one inning and playing for scraps.
Say a word.
Nearly again.
Don't say a word.
Nearly again. Nearly again.
Huh?
10 minutes after.
We're not a better team.
We are not.
Not a whole.
10 minutes after half time, we stopped playing. 6 points. Chasing them. You know?
I will.
Looking for somebody to work Jackson from the arm.
Junior. please come over here to the steps just underneath the press box. Ryan Jr.
Tight. Tough. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a very happy Killybegs captain here, John Cunningham. John, first of all, many congratulations. Killybegs back at the top of the tree. It's been a frustrating couple of years for a club like Killybegs, but I'm sure everyone delighted, and particularly you, to captain the side in 95.
That's right, Charlie. It's a very proud day for the club. We've been at the top now for a lot of years, and I suppose after last year people wrote us off, and I suppose some of ourselves we're having our own doubts, you know. I suppose the fact that the county was knocked out early was a big help to us. Obviously we're delighted to have won today, you know.
Neath Columba were always going to put it up because they put it up to everybody no matter who they play. I mean, they're an underestimated side who keep getting to county finals and semi-finals. Today, in the first half, they really made it difficult for you. John, Killybegs didn't play particularly well, but that had more to do with the way Glen played, I think.
That's right. We were getting the ball into our forwards, and they were marking very tight. We knew that from previous county finals that they were going to do that. We decided at half time that we're going to have to change our strategy, you know. Our forwards were really going to have to start moving, and the first 10 minutes of the second half was the difference, I think.
Yeah. 6 points in a row, that put you 8-4 up, and at that stage it looked as if you were going to run away because the midfield had taken over completely. Glen weren't getting past the 45, but then all of a sudden, out of nothing, Noel Hegarty, Paddy Hegarty, Paul O'Donnell, and the ball's in the net.
That's right. I think Noel came from his own 50. He must have ran 70 yards, passed it on, given and going, and they scored a very good goal and knocked us back on our heels. But the vital part of it was that we held on to a point lead for another 5 or 6 minutes, and the equalising, we came back at them, which was a great plus for us, you know.
Yeah. The goalkeeper Ian Cunningham made 2 outstanding saves in the first half, John. At the end of the day, I mean, I suggested maybe the first one was going to make an awful lot of difference because Seamus Carr had the chance to really put Glen into a very strong position.
That's right. I think if Glen had to get the goal in the first half early on, I think it would have really rocked us on our heels, and I suppose at that stage you start having doubts, but lucky enough Ian made a vital couple of saves for us today, and he in a standing game, really.
Yeah, and a heart-stopping moment at the end as well when Paddy Hegarty flicked that one on and Georgie got it. I mean, in fairness, John, it's okay, it's easy to say from up here, but I think if it had been low, the crossbar, Ian couldn't have done anything about it.
Well, Georgie was so close, like if he had to keep it on target, unless somebody had somebody, it was in the net, you know.
Yeah.
I was delighted to see it going over the bar.
Well, Killybegs back, and they've answered the critics perhaps, and the doubts that were there maybe after last year, John, well and truly buried in 95, and the club obviously will go from strength to strength again now.
That's right, Charlie. The one thing I was very proud of today was the boys' spirit, you know. We've been hearing all week in the last couple of weeks about Glen's spirit. No, I'm not doubting that they have that spirit, but we showed today that we had more than skill. We had spirit also, and I'm very proud of the lads and everybody involved with the club. We're delighted to be county champions once again.
Congratulations, John. Thanks for coming up and talking to us. That's Killybegs captain and Killybegs cornerback Barry McGowan coming forward to talk. I suggested a couple of times in the commentary that you were playing very much within yourself today, Barry. I know that you've been told by injury during the summer. Was it a case of a less than 100% fit Barry McGowan?
I tell you, I was just happy to get on, Charlie. The way things were going this last while. Picked up a hand injury, and it was hampering me this last month or more, and it certainly affected my game. To be truthful, I would have preferred to be further out the pitch and to be involved in action more, but I was picked in cornerback and I was glad to play there, and thankfully things turned out for the better in the end.
You picked up Seamus Carr really from the start of the game. Was that a tactical move by Killybegs, because Carr was the biggest influence for Neath Columba in their semi-final victory over St Eunan's?
Well, I couldn't really say I picked up Seamus Carr because it took me 20 minutes before I picked him up. But finally, I put the shackles on Seamus. I think he'll agree with that. He's a very hard man to track down, and I'm just thankful that Glen didn't get the ball to him more often.
Yeah. He had a goal chance early on, and there was another goal chance by, I think you got your hands to a ball, and suddenly it was in the hands of Conall Cunningham. Either of those chances had it went in, it could have been a different game.
That's right. There's a couple of the younger players around me saved the day. Ian Cunningham, Trevor McNaughton, Francis Murray and Peter McGinley. Young players that are showing great talent that really played well for us here today and won the day for us, you know. But in saying that, goal chances, you had to take them. I suppose you could point to Manus Boyle's missed chance at the second half with about 10 minutes to go, which really should have put us up. He should have tapped it over the bar and put it up by 5 points. The ball was broken down, Glenn came up the field, and all of a sudden, bang, the ball was in the back of the net. Instead of being 5 points up, we were only a point up, you know. Those kind of things happen in Gaelic. If you don't take your chances, you can be buried. Thankfully today, we read our luck, and we eventually won ours, you know.
Were you very concerned when that goal went in? Because we've seen Glen in the past, when they get a situation like that, coming from behind, they're so dangerous, Barry.
Yes, we were very concerned. Anytime you see a goal going into your net, you get very concerned. But unlike other years where we panicked a bit, we looked at the scoreboard, we were still a point up, and we kept our nerve just enough to go back up the field and take the lead again. And I think a wee bit of experience at the end of the day brought us through to the final whistle.
I remember having a conversation with you a few years ago when KILLYBEGS again had disappointed in the final and lost out, Barry. And I mean, the question marks have always been there about this KILLYBEGS side. No one doubts the skill and the talent that's on the side, but in the past perhaps they haven't produced the goods. It's been a determined effort in '95.
Well, it's like any Irishman, you know, if you back him into a corner, he's going to come out fighting, you know. I mean, a lot of people, including the media in particular, and maybe even Highland Radio, doubted us very much that we couldn't win, not alone today, but against Ballyshannon. And I hope now that, you know, people sit up and take a wee bit of notice of us. A lot of people have been writing us off down to the years, and, you know, on occasion, rightly so. But I think that over the last 2 games, we've shown great heart, and I think really people should stand up and take notice of that and give us, you know, the proper respect that we deserve for that.
So you'd credit the media in some way for this victory for KILLYBEGS?
Certainly not, no.
I misunderstood you. Thanks a million for coming up, Barry. I misunderstood him there for a second. I thought he was praising us, but anyway, there was a sting in it. Not to worry. That's about it, mate, is from McCumhaill Park here. We'll leave on that light-hearted note with KILLYBEGS and Donegal cornerback Barry McGee. Always a good man for a comment. Delighted scenes, obviously, for KILLYBEGS. Disappointment for Niamh Columba again, but on the day, it's the scoreline that counts. A couple of vital saves by Ian Cunningham. And KILLYBEGS, that vital period after half-time when they scored 6 points in a row. I think when everyone reflects back and watches this game again, those will be the vital things that will come out of it. But from myself and Michael and Packie, who's looked after sound again this afternoon, next Sunday, of course, it's on. The move is on to Croke Park, and I'm sure that we'll look forward to a great red and white victory down there as we witnessed here today. I'm sure Pia won't disagree with that. But from McCumhaill Park, back to you.